Yeah. Real deal 4-4 shit, but I don't know what deal what I'm saying. Bitch match, my designer mismatch. Duffel bag with big racks. You can't get your bitch back. Better call dispatch. I'm flexing with no six pack. She broke you like a Kit Kat. No cap, these big fat. I'm cooking like a scientist. We pull up in your hood and wet your shit up like a fireman. You know I am a boss with pussy, nigga. I ain't hiring. The trap house, it got hit a couple times, but they ain't find shit. Told her thought my dick was getting hard, but that's the fire. Yeah, know that's a fire, know that's a fire. Don't even try. Know I got goons, know I got killers, ready to die. Know we got glocks, know we got sticks, ready to fly. Niggas be thinking they eating, they sitting on their ass and they not getting a piece of the pie. Niggas be sitting and plotting, but they know I'm watching the niggas, so don't even try. I've been that nigga since I was a gist, so them bitches, they know I'm that guy. Bitch, so that she get on her knees, she give me that brand like she ready to cry. Yeah. As soon as I open this seal, you know that it's real, we smoking on Zai. Yeah. As soon as I get him in front of a judge, shit, you know I'm a lie. Told him it's time to get down to the business, fuck it, suit and the tie. I can't even rock one brand. I'm having bitch match, my designer mismatch. Duffel bag with big racks. You can't get your bitch back. Better call dispatch. I'm flexing with no six pack. She broke you like a Kit Kat. No cap, these big fat. I'm cooking like a scientist. We pull up in your hood and wet your shit up like a fireman. You know I am a boss with pussy, nigga. I ain't hiring. The trap house, it got hit a couple times, but they ain't find shit. Shawty thought my dick was getting hard, but that's the fire.
All in the family. Been mad my weed and my hoes too. I pull up old school, waist up in this bag, pussy make me have to show you. Clean as dirty money, like we tell me and we goes to delete your boy, like what? Yeah, like we using Pro Tools. Okay, cool, say you rude, that boy he played and made the news. Say his partner tried to spin and got it too, stupid fool. They say twerk it in the spot and ain't find shit. Okay, cool, they want the prices for my verse, it costs a brick. When the move, nigga dispatch, that's a 10-phone, get your bitch back. Bitch match, chopper sit them down like a kickback. Go forever, you did. Huh? So
bitch match, my designer mismatch. Duffel bag with big racks. You can't get your bitch back. Better call dispatch. I'm flexing with no six pack. She broke you like a Kit Kat. No cap, these big fat. I'm cooking like a scientist. We pull up in your hood and wet your shit up like a fireman. You know I am a boss with pussy, nigga. I ain't hiring. The trap house, it got hit a couple times, but they ain't find shit. Told her thought my dick was getting hard, but that's the fire.
I miss you nevermore.
I fuck around and make it pop off. Might fuck around and take the top off. Might fuck around and spin the block, dog. Say all, I stay getting dropped, dog. I say I'm running to the guap, dog. And I will never ever stop, no. Hey, run up on me, you get popped, dog. Nobody shot straight at your top, dog. I see these pussy niggas lurking. I work that drink just like a surgeon. I make a call, they know it's urgent. That money clean, that money dirty. Hey, get one of them, which one you working? Get one of them, which one you working? Hey, hey, I can't let these niggas hurt me. Nah, that's word to the one who birthed me. Really be on some chill shit. I gotta kill switch. Try to cut my power off. Guess what, bitch? I'm still lit. Still getting head from you, bitch, behind the door 10. I am my brother's keeper. Still chop it up with Clark Kent. Roaches in a bowl to a bankroll. We came a long way. When I talk, it's country grammar. Bitches dig my funk shit. Ain't no time to play around unless it's with my kids. Trying to ball with my bro, just touch down. I fuck around and make it pop off. Might fuck around and take the top off. Might fuck around and spin the block, dog. Say all, I stay getting drunk, dog. I say I'm running to the guap, dog. And I will never ever stop, no. Hey, run up on me, you'll get popped, dog. Nobody shot straight at the top, dog. I see these pussy niggas lurking. I work that drink just like a surgeon. I make a call, they know it's urgent. That money clean, that money dirty. Hey, get one of them, which one you working? Get one of them, which one you working? Hey, hey, I can't let these niggas hurt me. Nah, that's word to the one who worth me. That's word to the one. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on. Shit that we do. Claim niggas an animal, come riding out like the zoo. Caged up, let us lose. Caged up, let us lose. Flat lies on the matter, nigga, when you're lying dead on the news. Gotta pain that blue. Gotta pain that blue. Cops kill your blood, niggas ain't talking about pyro. Better get a clue. Better get a clue. Wake up, my people, this shit can happen to you. Treating us like fools. Keep killing our youth. Spreading lies in our schools, they ain't telling the truth. Fuck all of they rules, fuck all of they rules. Signing off is a new nigga with a attitude. Now this shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. We on, this the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, this shit that we
ain't trying to just sit around and about everything we going through. Ain't trying to live life and thank God like who the fuck is you? Ain't trying to feel years on earth. I done shed blood, shed tears on dirt. Fighting these fools trying to smear my worth. On a set trip trying to clear my turf. Who are you? What am I? I'm confused, we must wanna die. We killing ourselves is another crime. Killing our brothers, they killing our brothers, and I know why. They got us killing ourselves, that ain't no lie. Look, let me break it down for you. First slave master, next employer. No 40 acre, no mule, no noise. Them type of eyes where the God destroys. Blood pressure makes diamonds, we shine and grind, and we reach our goals. Searching for worth without selling soul.
This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on. We on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we bullshit aside, this genocide. They take niggas' lives, kill niggas' pride. Situations get minimized. Criminal history emphasized. On the victim, they penalized. Officers don't get penalized. Big business is an enterprise. Social media to hypnotize. That's what people don't realize. Jail and slavery the same thing. Gotta look at what it symbolized. Still going through the same pain. About time that we improvise. Should we Nat Turner or Dr. King? Should we rise up or live the dream? Should we stay quiet, don't make a scene? Go Malcolm X by any means. Pick a size, no in between. Nigga, pick a size, no in between. Yeah.
Feel the water flow. This is for the fire in your soul. We pray for better days to live our lives and make a change. Feel the water flow. This is for the fire in your soul. In your soul, your soul, your soul. Feel the water flow. This is for the fire in your soul. We pray for better days to live our lives and make a change. Feel the water flow. This is for the fire in your soul. In your soul, your soul, your soul.
Soul cleansing. Soul
Everybody
cleansing.
got problems. Everybody got problems. No matter which soul.
Soul cleansing. Soul
That's why we
cleansing.
gotta call them. That's why we gotta call them. My spirit's so asshole.
Soul cleansing. Soul.
Nearly lost my soul, nearly lost my faith. When I lost my brother, that's the day it went away. Mama cried, so did granny did too. So lost, so hurt, I ain't know what to do. So I yell, and I cuss up at God. Like why in the fuck, how could you do that? Bring that pain in my family, it's something we did. Tell me you mad at me, cause I can't deal. And it's hard to live without my brother. And it's hard to forgive, but still I pray.
Feel the water flow. This is for the fire in your soul. We pray for better days to live our lives and make a change. Feel the water flow. This is for the fire in your soul. In your soul, your soul, your soul. change. Feel the water flow. This is for the fire in your soul. In your soul, your soul, your soul. I ain't know what your life like, but I'm just trying to get my soul right. Been struggling my whole life, in the dark with no sunlight. Tired of making up excuses, going crazy about to lose it. In the midst of all the bullshit, let the music be your pulpit.
I be learning how to work this shit, Lord. You feel I'm learning. Still trapped in the hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. Money thoughts on my mind, I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. Who did that track? Can't see it, you blind. Still trapped in the hustle, yeah.
Hey. Tuesday night, Classic Conversations. We're back in the building. Classic Conversation with JT and Low and Ask a Cop. I got you, brother. We back in the building, man. You know, my boy JT's back. He got over his little out-of-town blues.
Yeah, man. Yeah, boy. It seems like every time I get on the plane, I come back with a little cough.
Yeah.
But I am COVID-free. I've taken 3 COVID tests this week alone.
How was the trip?
Oh, the trip was dope, bro. Houston
need
Cigar
some.
Week. Yeah, Houston cigar
Need
culture
some.
is, they're in good hands out there, man. It was a great time. A lot of black-owned cigar lounges, a lot of black-owned cigars. Actually, there was some black-owned liquor out there, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You know, my boy.
But how was the turkey hut, man? Talk about
man,
how was the turkey hut, bro?
man. Well, let me tell you.
Just made me feel about it.
Hey, man. All right, for y'all that don't know, told Angelo I was going to Houston. He was like, bro, you got to go to the turkey hut. Turkey legs was crazy. I'm like, man, ain't that turkey legs? He's like, bro, you got to go.
Gotta go.
So we went. The line, it was 12:30 on a Friday afternoon. People supposed to be at work. The line was around the building, and it was constant, and I was there for 3 hours. They had armed security. Let me change that. Armed police officers.
Yeah, police
actually
officers.
working the line. But the crazy thing is, man, these cats was in line and not mad. They were not mad. They was chilling. They were getting bottles of water while they were there. Luckily, you know, I was VIP, so I didn't have to stand in line. But that turkey leg, bro, the one you told me about, that Hennessy glazed one,
Boy.
I ate on it for the rest of the week, bro. And they have some, was it spinach? You told me to get the fries, but I got the spinach.
Yes, I'm a fry guy.
Man, let me tell you something. Like I said, I'm not a big turkey leg guy, but I've changed my mind. I'm a turkey leg guy now.
Yeah.
Hey, man, if you ever go to Houston,
I'm trying to tell you.
I'm telling you, go ahead and go. Don't be trying to beat the line, because I promise you, at 10 o'clock in the morning, the line is already there. So just take your time, go over there, and just sit and chill.
Go in the evening. I went late in the evening time, and the line ain't like that. But the police officers there all day. They there
man.
from sun up to sundown. They don't leave.
Hey,
They
say
close the place up.
It's black owned. They say these folks made $40 million last year.
And they've only been open for 2 years. 2.5
Selling
years.
turkey legs. And look,
The husband and wife team.
this is turkey leg. That's how big the turkey leg is, man. I don't know where they find these turkeys at. There wasn't a bad turkey. I didn't see a bad turkey leg the whole time, and I'm looking at other people's plates. All of them were huge. It was dope, man. It was dope. Had a great time, man. I like the city of Houston. I want to go back and kind of enjoy the city a little more, but I did enjoy the cigar culture big time, for real, for real.
How many can order at one time?
Huh?
How many turkey legs can you order at one time?
You can order as many as you want, but I'm telling you, bro.
Hey, bro.
I know you think you can eat.
I just want to know, just in case I ain't want to go back. You know.
Oh, take one to go.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you.
Mine went to go regardless, because I couldn't eat
had
it.
mine.
I couldn't eat it.
had mine.
Couldn't eat all of
We
it.
went on, let's see, we got there on Thursday. We went on Friday. I finished eating mine on Sunday. Real talk. I finished eating it on Sunday, and I wasn't just eating a little bit of it, bro. It was that Hennessy glaze, man. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
You bring it over for me, Days. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, man, I told you, man, that thing there was the bomb diggity, bro.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
So I told him the
Appreciate
fries, bro, 'cause I'm just tell you about the fries. They like waffle fries, cheese layered over the top, and they had their own barbecue sauce, homemade sauce, and with turkey meat in it. When I tell you every French fry you pick up is turkey meat loaded. I mean, the junk, man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how good it is.
Yeah. Houston, and I can say this too. You know what? I'm gonna say this. Matter of fact, Dwayne, I need to hear myself on this one. Take the mic up a little bit, because my wife was there with me, and she saw the way I was reacting. Them Houston women built different, bro. They built different.
I just said, turn the mic up for this one. Let me make sure
I love my Atlanta women, but I'm gonna tell you something.
That's hilarious.
Them Houston women are built different, bro.
You know what they say about Texas, man.
Yeah, everything is big in Texas. I'm a believer.
You a believer?
Oh yeah, yeah. If you're a single man, you need to think about it. Just saying. I'm just saying. That's all. So I done got in trouble now. So y'all go ahead.
Too funny.
Yeah, my wife gonna be a little mad at me, but.
Hey man, we got a guest in the house, man. Man, Phil, what's up, brother?
What's happening, man? What's
You know, Phil's, with the Flag Football League, man. He's one of the directors and player, and when he ain't broke up, you know what I mean? He been a little hurt lately, but
one of the more impressive young brothers of the Flag Football League, for real, bro.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
on and off the field, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so, on Thursday nights on the Flag Football Podcast, we give a lot of dialogue, start the show off, and Phil always chimes in with a lot of stuff, and they try to cut him off because he gets deep. So we said, Phil, you need to come on a Tuesday night, man. That's what that deepness is built for.
Yeah, man. I watch a lot too.
That's what's up,
I
man.
wanted to come out here, man.
I appreciate it, man. Good to have you, man.
Impressive young brother here, man. Leader of men. And that's hard to do.
True
I
that.
don't know if you remember, we was in Puerto Rico. You remember?
I do.
And I told you, I said, hey, man, y'all got something if y'all just stay together. Now look where y'all at, what y'all end up doing, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was dope. You good dude, bro.
Appreciate that, yeah, man.
Out.
First closet on this side, a bunch of glasses. Don't have glasses for me. Yeah, I forgot the doggone glasses. I was looking around like that. So anywho, talk to a JT. You want an intro?
Yeah, ask a cop. You got anything to tell anybody before we get going, bro? You want to introduce yourself? Let everybody know. Go and run that long list down. Let them know, bro.
Yeah, I won't put it out there like that. A 30-year vet, Atlanta Police Department, retired in July 2020 as lieutenant, commanded several units, SWAT, fugitive, was investigator, narcotics, gang unit, things like that.
All right, man. So this week has been kind of crazy. We've been going back and forth on what we was going to talk about, and just today, Angelo sent me a text. The text said, bro, go look at what I sent you on Messenger. And I'm just going to read the first two paragraphs, and we'll get into the rest of it later. The Georgia State Board of Education passed a resolution on the teaching of race in public schools in an 11-2 vote on Thursday. Was this past Thursday? Do you remember?
The deuce from mine. You remember deuce brother. You say what now?
That was this past Thursday?
Yeah.
The resolution states, first, that the United States of America is not a racist country and that the state of Georgia is not a racist state. Now, I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to go,
And the state of Georgia is not what?
A racist state.
Okay.
Red state or race state?
Racist. It's kind of R&R. It's kind of the same thing there. But when he sent it to me, there's a lot more to it. And I sat there and I put my fingers and I was like, And I hit him back. I said, dude, I have no idea how to respond to it. Because it's a lot more to it. We're going to uncover all of that. But let's start off there in regards to, as the resolution states, first, that the United States of America is not a racist country. What you got to say about it?
Start there.
Yeah, let's start there first. That's what the resolution said. It states first and foremost. What you think about that, Phil?
Man, about what, 3 weeks ago, the president said it. And 2 weeks and 5 days ago, the VP said it. I don't know what they're looking at, man. I don't know. Now, I don't know if they don't want it to be, but we was built on it. I mean, that's capitalism, and then free labor. And then if you can cash out to some Asians because of hate crimes,
I was gonna go there. Yeah.
You already acknowledging we got something wrong.
How about that?
And then and look what we are. Look where we've been. So nah, I ain't buying it. I don't even know why they even said that. I'm really disappointed in our VP. I understand the old white man saying it, not the VP.
Right, because this last Thursday, she's had some time to come out with something.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't happen yesterday. This was last Thursday.
Yeah.
So she's had some time
So
for
she's
her
already
people to
said
make
that,
a statement.
Yeah, she said that weeks ago. So everybody's now trying to piggyback off that, and the times we got going on right now, I don't see it. Historically referenced.
Let me ask y'all a question though, because it's just mind-boggling to me. But what do y'all think they trying to say? Do you think they're really trying to say that this is not?
I think they said exactly what they meant.
Yeah, I really.
I'm like,
when I read that part, it made me wonder. Do they already don't feel that crimes against black people are hate crimes? We know that because they didn't pass no bill for us.
No, but remember I told you they're taking up all the multiple shootings we have, and they're using us when they need us.
Who's
They're using our government.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm not buying it. I think.
I don't even know if they.
I think individuals might think that. Uneducated individuals might think that, and want to just straight listen to things and don't process and read and stuff. But people educated folk, they know it. Now you want to deny it, cool. You don't want to acknowledge it, cool. But don't lie about it. They know. They know.
So do you feel that by them not acknowledging it because of the ones that's not educated and not really reading, we're talking about people of other races, they're actually, how should I say it, fooling them or making sure that there's no doubt in their mind that this is not a racist country?
No, I think I'm totally opposite. I think what they're doing is pacifying the same people that stormed the Capitol. For pacifying those people, because if they came out and told what their hearts believe, if they came out and said America racism has existed since it started, it was made on the backs of slaves, and they went into that, it's going to beat up. We're only what percent? 12 to 13%.
13.7.
Okay, the census out there. 13.7. Now there's 74 or whatever percent. They're placating those people. They're still licking their wounds. Granted, only a couple thousand or whatever, 5,000, 6,000 showed up at the Capitol, but there was about probably a million or two that wanted to be there and weren't there. What they're trying to do, their form of healing, and is basically whitewashing it, and that leads into what the topic is tonight. They're trying to sing Kumbaya, but like all great leaders have said in the past, if you don't follow your history and learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And what I'm upset about the most about what they're doing in Georgia now, when it's black or erasing us, it's okay. Now, Jews, and this, do not take any Jewish followers, do not take this the wrong way. But Jews can talk about the Holocaust like it happened yesterday and nobody complains. But as soon as we start talking about our history or being erased from it, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, and I think that happened when the white people absorbed the Jewish community. Because the Jewish community was just like us years and years ago. just like
They
the
passed.
Irish and all those. But once they absorbed that, that's how it was. But the bigger thing is, you just talking about that, 25% of the Holocaust people weren't even Jewish. You got the gays, you have the blacks, you have the people who didn't look like they wanted to look. And then you had to take
Gypsies.
you had to take a class to understand that. A lot of people think the only people that got knocked off and got bad done to them was Jewish people. But 25% of the numbers that we know so well in America were other races and other ethnicities and other sexualities. So it's
Wow.
tough. So yeah.
You just dropped some stuff then.
Yeah, man. It's they know what's up.
They know what's up.
They know what's up. I mean, it's simple as that, man. They know what's up. But again, you're talking about 400 years of history that they got to rewrite if they acknowledge that. So, smart move on their part to say it ain't real.
So would you say that's where the whole let's not teach it thing comes from?
I believe so because again, you're now telling people again. You think about pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You got that saying, and then when these people start realizing, well, damn, I ain't had to wear no boots. I've been having flip flops all my life. My grandfather had flip flops. My great grandfather had flip flops. It changes everything, and then once you acknowledge all that, you really talking about what y'all gonna pay us, what y'all gonna give us, how y'all gonna pay us back for all this blood, sweat, and tears that we done put out here. So the best thing for them to do is just deny. That's where the whole plead the fifth came from. Shit, I don't know. I'm saying like, cause it's rough out there, man. And that's basically and again, this is just my belief.
Oh, yeah. These are all opinions of each one of us.
Once you start unraveling all that, and they gotta acknowledge that, it's a lot of stuff to talk about. And you talking about the gap in between what they got, what we got, why we couldn't get house, red line, and all that. All that stuff is real. It's real. And if they be like, yeah, we done did some things to y'all. I'm sorry. Now you come with the healing point and shit. Again, like they know, it's only one piece of pie. It's only one.
Phil, you all right, boy? You coming back? Got your Malcolm X glasses on, boy. You coming back?
Yeah.
Yo, caller. We got a caller there?
What's up?
What's happening, young fella? How you doing?
All right, man, I'm awesome. It's been a long time.
Go and introduce yourself.
That's my man. That's my man Nash. I just caught the voice. What's up?
I know. I did too. Go and introduce yourself, Coach.
Man, I'm Coach Calvin Nash, world history teacher, football, basketball coach, Lithia Springs High School.
Ooh, this about to get interesting.
So
Why you say that, brother? Come on.
Because we've touched on this with you a little bit in the past. So,
yeah.
I'm gonna let you and Angelo have this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lo.
Well, no, I just want you to chime in, man. So I don't know how much you've heard so far, man. But the introduction.
I haven't heard much.
Okay, so the introduction was basically about. Well, you didn't start with the actual school topic, but this this bill being passed in Georgia, man, and for you Georgia teachers, and you a history teacher. What was your original question though, JD? Because you posed it differently than actual.
No, it was America racist? And why would he say it wasn't?
Yeah,
There you go.
I can barely hear him.
Was America?
Is the United States of America now? The resolution that Georgia passed basically said it states first that the United States of America is not a racist country, and that the state of Georgia is not a racist state. Now, this is the resolution that was passed is a resolution on teaching of race in public schools, and it was passed on an 11-2 vote this past Thursday. It goes on to say schools should not teach that one race or sex is inherently superior, and schools should not teach that an individual should feel discomfort, guilt, anguish, or any other form of psychological distress on account of his or her race or sex?
I'm gonna touch on a lot of different things with this, and y'all stop me when y'all want to. First and foremost is segregation, and it's a lot of mess when it comes to textbooks and when it comes to standardized testing anyway. Right?
Right.
If you look at the ACT and the SAT, the way it's set up, the questions asked, most of our kids are not prepared for that because the way that they've been taught. Let's go to Title IX schools. A lot of those schools don't get the proper textbooks. They're getting hand-me-down textbooks from other counties, other places, and it's not updated. So when they're taking these tests, a lot of stuff is going to be missed because they're so far behind anyway. Right?
Yeah, I agree. I work at a school now. We just got finished throwing away Common Core books from 2016.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you another thing, and this is going to be outside of Georgia, right? I have a cousin that he's a teacher in Illinois. He stopped teaching. He went to a psychiatrist. And he got early retirement because he says when he has racial trauma from the police and all this other stuff, seeing white people make him have racial trauma. And it worked.
Racial trauma. Okay.
Yes, it worked.
And it worked.
It worked.
That's wow.
When I tell you, they gave him early retirement, they gave him a severance, and all that. Racial trauma. Because they know it's real.
Wow.
They know it's real.
That
so
is interesting.
Let's get back to the Georgia thing, right? What was South Georgia originally for? Going back to your going back to your U.S. history.
Slavery and cotton.
Yeah, I wanted to say
cotton. What'd you say?
Slavery, cotton, tobacco.
I wanted to say cotton. Because I think all the tobacco was in North Carolina.
But listen, while they took the angry people to Haiti before, the uncontrollable Negroes, right? A lot of them went to Florida too. And to keep them from coming up through Georgia, South Georgia, they had a lot of headhunters down there.
State Patrol.
If these angry Negroes, these angry Indians come up here, kill them, bring their heads back, we're going to give you some money. They teach that in Georgia history to our kids right now.
So, with this new bill being passed, do you think is that something that they was aiming at not to teach?
Man, please. How they gonna not teach it when the teachers got to do it for the gays to get certified? They asked me that question when I was getting my certification.
Okay,
I think it's a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors. I think what's going in is what? We don't want people to know that the man started in Africa. Like I told y'all before, I teach that. Everybody's an African American. Everybody. We not from here. Caucasians, y'all not from here. But we started in Africa. They want to get rid of stuff like that, brother.
Yeah, they've been doing that for years.
Yeah, they want to get rid of that.
So that brings up something. I mean, what you just said in regards to certifications and everything. Will this bill that's being passed change in regards to the certifications, in regards to the teachers being certified, or?
I don't think so because
nope.
we're already what the stuff that they give us to teach is already out there. Now, what they did was just modify that to make sure teachers do not deviate from what they want. So, like at our schools right now, a lot of black schools, thankfully, with all these black teachers that are educated, they sort of, even though they're teaching the curriculum that they're asking to teach, they're then telling us our historical reference to all the things that's going on. By what they're trying to push, all that extra talk and all the extra information that we're willingly giving these children.
Trying to tell you can't do that.
Trying to tell you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And like you were saying, I was going to school for. I got a sociology degree. I was going to school for a history degree for teaching history in school, just education history. I ended up quitting that 77% through because the stuff that they're telling us we got to teach and teaching us to learn and teaching us how to teach kids is crazy. Like I did not appreciate it. So therefore now I just have I got a little bit of history. I got social work, sociology, but going to school to be a teacher, that sort of kind of stunted my growth. I mean, I'm still in the school system, but that changed my outlook on what I wanted to do. Because they're teaching you how to teach kids, but they're teaching you what to teach them. And then so it just takes certain kids, certain teachers in certain areas to hopefully share the wealth of what they know of.
Step outside of the box.
Yeah.
And you gotta teach what you know instead of all this stuff that they say. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. You gotta step out the box, especially for our kids, right? If you look at curriculums, right? They took out your vocational schools,
yep,
your trades, and all that in schools. That's putting us behind because those are jobs that kids actually got to pay more money for when they get out of school. The hustle. But then on the flip side, think about it. They're not teaching them how to survive. They're not teaching them their basic checking stuff, how to apply for car loans, mortgages. They're teaching them econ, supply and demand, but they're not teaching them how to live. In other school systems, they are.
And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the whole Frederick Douglass thing. They're pulling they want to pull him out of the history books for the most part. Like he was one of he was one who was kicking all about getting a trade. He's one who's really pushing trade school for blacks. So, and again, this is just theory that we're speaking about. Them pulling that out is really taking it out our areas that, you know, trade school ain't it. You know, go to school, try to go to college, figure out what you want to do, and then we'll work on it past that. But they're just really taking out all the stuff that benefits us out of the books.
Hey, real quick.
Wow.
Got another guest just came in, Brandon Marsh. Another one of my Thursday guys, man. But Brandon is also real deep of knowledge, and he's education in the education field as well.
What's up, B?
And he's one of the, and we talked about this last week. You know, he is one of the white guys that can get invited to the picnic,
to the cookout.
To the cookout.
I don't get to work the grill yet.
Yeah. I had to see about you might get to cook the stuff on the corner of the grill to start off with. Let's taste that and see what that seasoning about. Then we'll go from there.
Hey, but you always ask him what kind of beer he gonna bring, and that's how you know what kind of person he is.
Well, so far, I've only been allowed to bring red Solo cups and silverware, so I don't know what that says. But
Toby Keith.
Right, it is what it is.
I like Toby Keith.
Now I want to invite B. Morris to this conversation. Number one, because he's very knowledgeable, very educated. He's one of our brothers, so I'm a brother. But Brandon's also married to a black woman.
Got a black
so
baby.
He's raising, you know, essentially black.
Yeah.
Well, he had a daughter.
Right.
So he's
a black one.
So you
Black
know,
one.
and he's in the mix. Now he's not wearing one of his. He has some of the most prolific shirts. As a matter of fact, JT's wearing one tonight. Yeah, you know I mean. So, but this guy is very knowledgeable, man. So B, I sent you a little thing about what we're talking about. So I don't know how much you're joining, but this classic conversation, man. You just jump on in whenever you hear something.
All right, so I'm an unconventional teacher. Like, I'm a special ed teacher, and I'm in a slightly different program. because I know I don't follow structure well. Like, that's just what it is. I sort of do my own thing, and it's cool. And you know when you can get away with that and when you can't, stuff like that. But I was talking to my boss about this the other day. When it comes to things that we have to accomplish and things that they ask you for in certification and to keep your certificate, and when you're observations and stuff like that, people get caught up in what I'm supposed to say or what I'm supposed to do because they know somebody's watching. In reality, the secret is to figure out what the goal is that they're looking for. And what they're looking for is high points. We got to know who George Washington is and Abraham Lincoln is, and they're going to tell us who Dr. King was, things like that. They're going to hit the high points. And that's all they care about, because that's all that's on the standardized tests is the high points that we all know. So the question is, in the middle of that, in between those high points, how can you arrive at the information? You can't tell the kids what to think. And I recognize that I teach in a very conservative county, predominantly white county. So these are the people that are constantly against, critical race theory and stuff like that. They're always talking about it. So I know why I'm being watched, and I know, there's a little bit of, I look like them, but I don't think like them. So there's always a hesitation. They see me, and then they're like, well, watch him. See what he, pay attention to him, because I'm one of them. You know what I'm saying? It's like in a Time to Kill. What did he tell Jake? Because you think like them. So that's why I want you to be my lawyer. So I know how they're raised and what they're taught, how they're taught. I went to, a conservative white church, stuff like that. So I know what we're brought up taught and what we're brought up to think, and I know what they're looking at. So you have to learn to ask the questions to get the information out, because the information isn't anything. Like, it would be great if we could just teach this stuff historically, and that's great. But we can't right now, and that's just what it is. So you have to get around that. Robert Kennedy said, some people see things how they are and ask why, and I see how they could be and ask why not. So what he's saying is, you got to ask the right questions. I don't have to teach these kids what happened, where people came from initially, what continent we came from, I don't have to tell these kids these things, because then I get in trouble for that. But I can ask the right questions for the kids to figure it out themselves. You know what I'm saying? Well, when do people arrive here? It's like teaching.
Okay.
My daughter, when she was in elementary school, came home one day and said, Daddy, we were talking about Columbus today. And I said, well, what did you say? And she said, I asked the teacher how he discovered America when there were people already here. And I was like, exactly. Like, that's what I want you to think about. You can ask these questions. When he got here, when the Europeans got here, they were talking to Indians. Where did the Indians come from? You know what I'm saying? So if you can ask the right questions, the kids will get to the information themselves, because it's all logically, the things that we collectively teach and believe aren't things that we're having to make a jump intellectually. We got to reach out here and sort of divine this information. It logically follows. You know what I'm saying? This is where people came from. This is the oldest fossils we have from here. The oldest architecture we have is from here. So we know people were here before they were anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? So what does that tell you? We all come from this certain area. You just got to ask the right questions to get the kids to lead themselves there. You don't have to tell them anything. It would be great if we could just tell them, and maybe there'll come a day where we can. But right now, that's just not what it is. And what did Ellison say in The Invisible Man? You play the game. You know what I'm saying? That much you owe yourself, but play it the way that you want to play it. So I know what the game is, and I know what they're looking for and what they're asking for, and I'm going to tell you those high points that you got to hit. But there's a lot of gray area that the kids will find themselves if you get them to ask the right questions. And I can ask all the questions I want, because I'm not telling you any information. I'm asking you what you think about the information. And you'd be surprised.
Just general conversation.
Right. You'd be surprised at where kids will go if you ask them the proper questions. You know what I'm saying?
And I totally agree with everything you said, but the one issue I have with it is, like you said, you're one of one. And the vast majority of teachers aren't going to take that time. They either don't know, they're ignorant to it themselves, or they're blatantly disregarding history. And I think that's where, everybody wants to march every time a police officer shoots somebody, where it's justified or not. This is something we should be marching on. Because what's going to end up happening, you're going to have, right now, everybody's hungry. If you look on any social media, probably more white people are putting Black Lives Matter on than black people, now that it's died down. And the issue I have is what they're trying to do now is going to whitewash history from the standpoint of not springboarding. We've gotten right to the point where everybody's hungry, but now you're gonna just rework them, but feed them the same thing.
You got to control the narrative. It's just
Yeah,
like
that's what they're
any-
doing. They're trying to control the narrative. And like I said, it's just, I think, even, and I'm agreeing with the marches against the police and all that, like all of that, all the time. Simply because it's just, it always needs to be at the forefront of somebody's mind. So the same thing in the school system against the government. It should always be pushed, and I'm with that. And what they're trying to do, they're just trying to get rid of it because right now it's at a standstill. You do have black and white, and like even with the whole Asian thing before they got all the money, you had a bunch of black people marching for Asians. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're not. Now I don't think we're unifying at all whatsoever, but we're closer than we really ever been to the point where everybody, the younger generation, what are they called now?
X.
Generation X.
Generation X. No, X is before that. Before the ones is now.
Is it Z?
Z?
Yeah, so
Generation Z.
What's right after millennials? It's millennials and below.
It was millennials, then it was millennials, Gen X, Gen Z.
Gen X, then Gen Z. Okay.
So those three right there, they're really pushing. You know, they're pushing the limit, which goes back to what we were talking about with this Georgia passing this law, because it's not, the kids are getting aware. The younger kids are getting aware of the situation, and their parents don't want that. You know, you got white kids calling police on their parents about this whole Black Lives Matters thing. Even the we were talking about the when they ran into inside the government.
Mm-hmm.
Kids were calling saying, "Yo, my father was there, my mother was there." Like it was like a whole bunch of white kids calling, like they're identifying their parents. You know what I'm saying?
It's cool to give them 12 months.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm agreeing with all of it.
Question for you educators. I mean, through your colleagues and everything, and some of the, I mean, let's face it, in the education system, the educators are getting younger and younger. What do you think the percentage is of people that actually got into education because they couldn't find another job? Or people that got into education because they actually cared and wanted to actually educate?
I mean, that's tough. I couldn't even answer that. Now I do know there's a mix of everything.
Just an opinion of what you, from your colleagues that you've met and heard them talk about curriculums, heard them talk about, man, I just want to get through this thing so the summertime can get here, or the ones that, you know, speak like you guys speak, of trying to find a better way, you know, asking the right questions. You know, that you don't get that from every educator.
I would say the people that care get eaten up by the system.
Yeah.
Because certification and got to do this, and I'm observed doing this, and we got to do this paperwork. I'm in special ed. We got a ton of paperwork that we have to do. We got to take data on people every time we try to do stuff. So the people that care usually get eaten up by the system. They get chewed up, spit out by the machine. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. I've been a teacher for 5 years, and I decided to take the Gates test, and they said they'd give me a classroom. So, and that we can touch on whether standardized testing favors certain groups, and that, you know, that is what it is. Cool. I profited from it, and that's why I got into it. So I haven't had time to get eaten up by the system. But I can definitely see people who went through, graduated, and have been in it for a while who are just, you can tell, they just getting it until June, and we can coast for about 3 months, and they don't have to do anything extra. There's definitely a big element of people who get eaten up and get tired of it and just want to keep their head low and make it to get that 10 years, get vested in the pension system, and keep
Free
it moving.
summers and Delta flights.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be shocked. You'd be surprised at how many, you know, people who really care get eaten up because they're not made to handle. They see it from the outside, and it was how I was my first year as a teacher. I came in and thought just sheer force of will, cult of personality. The kids are going to want to do what I say. That's not how it goes. You know what I'm saying? So by October, it's one of those things where, like, when you're a first year teacher, you're excited. We're coming in and I'm decorating my room and I got this stuff everywhere and we're going to talk about this. And then by the time December and that break comes, you're like, shit, I'm just trying to get through this and not lose any kids and not, you know, I don't want the parents calling out, so I want the kids interested, but not enough they talk about what goes on at home. You know, like you start finding these lines to stay in between, and you're just trying to get through the year. And it probably took me 2 years before I finally got to where I was in a rhythm and knew what was expected and didn't have to constantly do stuff. And I was 40 at the time. So I was, I worked so I'm prepared for stuff like that. I can't imagine being 24 years old and it's your first job, and that first year you just get they grind you down, and then you just relaxing all summer because you're just trying to, build yourself back up to start it again. I can't imagine how people do it when they're that young.
But I'll be
It could
real
be
with you.
so overwhelming.
Yeah. I worked in inner city since 2007, and I will say, working in inner city, I love it. But again, working in the city will show you who loves it. Doing the job, the Teach for Americas and some people that come in trying to look for the benefits, they really ain't gonna make it because the kids are pushing you. You know what I'm saying? Like kids got their own shit. They got PTSD. They got their own stuff going on. And you coming in here just trying to teach me 2 + 2? Nah, you gonna have to prove. You gonna have to prove you like me. You gonna have to prove me. I don't even want you to like me, but you gonna have to show me you love me, type stuff.
Right.
And some teachers can't do it because it's tough. It's tough. And if that's not where your heart is, you only coming to do because I did when I first started, I was like, shit, I got summers off. And that's the main thought. I got summers off. I got 2 weeks Christmas. I got a week Thanksgiving. That's your first thought. In the first 1 or 2 years before you get burnt out, that's what you go in there for. But after that, man, you got to put in work. In the inner city, you got to put in work. And I'm not upset, but a lot of white teachers, we get a couple of them. They really got to do it. So we had a couple schools I went on. We had about 2 or 3. But those 2 or 3 were about that action. Because you can tell they really wanted to be there. The ones that came there early, Teach for Americas, and just got in just to do it, they ain't make it 2 years. Did not. Moved out. So, I
think a great point that you mentioned was the love, right? Yeah. Kids can genuinely feel when you love and care about them. And I think more educators need to understand that instead of doing it for the time off and for the love, do it for the love, sorry. But we have to really dig deep and understand each individual kid. And I got that from coaching. When you can understand a kid, he'll run through a wall for you. Mm-hmm. When you can relate to that kid and that kid know that you love them, they'll do the assignments, they'll go the extra mile. And I teach high school. All these kids want to do is be loved because a lot of them don't understand and know what love is.
And the reason why I asked that, man, is because I've always felt that, when I was coaching middle school football and we would go to the schools during the day, sometimes we was recruiting, sometimes we was just going to check on our kids. And I'm looking at these teachers that are 21, 22. There's some 21, 22-year-olds in high school. Some kids are seniors now at 18. Mm-hmm. Just, especially if you're not there for the love of bettering the kids.
And you got to understand now, getting back in the inner city, a lot of the teachers that I work with, that's where they from. Like my principal right now, that's where he's from. Like that's where he started his teaching career. He went out, worked in a couple, but he's back to his roots. So a lot of teachers, and I'm appreciative. I'm not from actual heart of Atlanta, but I've been here since 07. I came back since 07. But a lot of those teachers, they come back. You know what I'm saying? They're giving back. So I got about 35% of our teachers probably is from actual center point of Atlanta.
Oh, that's dope.
Let me read this statement from Orlena real quick about your questions. It said, many get in it because they think it's easy. It's an easy profession, but the real world hit them, and they can't handle it. Some get in it and don't like children. Some hate the expectations and heavy workload. But this is the new group. But this new group can't handle it, what it takes. And she's retired after 30 years, 30-year vet talking. So
when you have a broadcasting degree and you can't get a job with ESPN, see something say that, we look for teachers.
Or police.
And yeah, we already talked. Look, I got on him about that one about 3 weeks ago. And now here we are, this is not what you wanted to do, but you needed a paycheck, so you go into it.
And I'm just speaking about inner city because if you think about it, inner city's kind of small. Now, if you go outside in the inner city or you go outside to all the way to Duluth, I'm pretty sure it's a breeze. You go out in some place in Marietta, I'm pretty sure it's a breeze. So yeah, some teachers are very happy with their jobs and it's easy to push around. But if we're just talking about inner city, it is tough. But you know what I'm saying? I worked at Forest Hill Academy's alternative school in Atlanta. So all the 10% of the kids that did 90% of the problems at all the other schools came to our school. That's where I started off. I loved it.
Familiar with you.
Yeah, that's home for me. But just say that the last 4 or 5 people that I know that have left there all got Teacher of the Year, AP of the Year. You know what I'm saying? Because they know how to deal with it. No matter where they went, after dealing with what we dealt with it and putting the love in what we did, you go anywhere else, it's easy. You know, I went to South Fulton. It was easy. I mean, it was about the same amount of work, but less amount of problems with the kids I got to deal with. But it's easy because we done been through it.
But I have a lot of friends. I don't want to interrupt you, but I have a lot of friends that are in teaching, and my sister is. My mom's a teacher, and the issue that I'm hearing time and time again is you cut your teeth in the inner city, but as soon as you get good at your craft, you're moved. I know my mom was moved from Walker High School, which is now McNair, to Shamlin. And if you look at that time period, it's any teacher that was good in the south end of the cab got moved to the north end of the cab. And I find, not knocking them, but I know I covered the transition from Atlanta Police turning it over to Atlanta Public School Systems police officers. And I had a lot of contact with Atlanta administrators, I'll just say that. And a lot of them, and I slam them all the time on the show if you watch it. And it's because the scandal that happened, the cheating scandal, and the fact that they weren't prosecuted for stealing.
I was at one of them
years.
schools. I was at Turner when it came around.
Yeah, to me that was criminal, worse than anything that else could done, because those kids' minds were stolen, and they never gotten, and they were just pushed along.
Now, I totally agree with you. I wasn't with it whatsoever. But to say about that, it's not like the teachers weren't teaching.
No, not the teachers. I'm talking about the administrators. I don't talk about teachers. I talk about the administrators. But what I'm saying is, they got to call a spade, even if it takes paying extra money to get quality white teachers to come into the inner city school. Because what I find a lot of times, when you see how African American kids react, a lot of them are reacting, and I'm not talking about the ones that grew up where we grew up, but I'm talking about the ones that grew up in the hood. They react violently towards police, or they're even subservient when they deal with Caucasians because they're not used to having them around. And I would rather see them pay a stipend to teachers like yourself to not move out to South Fulton or South Atlanta or Gwinnett and stay in inner city schools. That would be part of the 40 acres and a mule. I wish I was here last week, because what I see as a police officer, and this is 30 years of dealing with people that aren't committing crimes because they want to, they're committing crimes because they have to. Now the kids of today are doing it more because for shits and giggles.
So I got 2 questions for you. Going about the whole scandal thing. You blame them more on the principals and APs and administrators, or the people that are above them? Because you got to think about.
Okay.
They want results.
There's certain professions. Hold on, let me cut you off there.
Okay.
Just like police officers.
Now they're wrong. I'm not asking that. I'm just saying.
This is how I look at it like this. Just like police officer, when a police officer taints his badge, when a police officer beats somebody's ass, when a police officer takes somebody's life and is wrong, I'm adamant on this show. Put the ass in jail. And when you swore an oath, same thing a teacher swear to. When you swore an oath, you're taking care of our most prized possession, our youth, our kids. And to me, you guys, just everybody talks about police officers should be a cut above. Honestly, I mean, I can tell you Miss McBee, I can tell you Coach Harcourt, I can tell you administrators that helped shape my life, and teachers that helped shape my life, Ms. Streckengoss and Dr. Clark, different people. And when you don't have that, and when somebody betrays that, I think that's just as bad as a police officer whooping somebody's ass in the streets, because when they portray it, you're not hurting. The police officer whoop your ass, that's one person with a whooped ass. But when a teacher screws up or a teacher doesn't give a shit, you're destroying 24 kids. And what I mean, and you can say what you want, if you taught in the inner city, a teacher's worth in the inner city is like, what's the Washington High School, I know his name, shit, the Washington High School basketball coach. Cool ass dude. Those kids worship the ground he walks on. The Washington High School band director, they worship the ground these people walk on. And those are people that are given. And so to me, when you shit on those people by doing what those administrators did, shame on Andy Young. I've said it several times in this show, and shame on them. Andy Young spoke up in the half so they wouldn't go to jail. Their asses should have been in jail, just like that cop that betrays his badge, period.
I feel you. I think it goes up more. I think the administration you're talking about, I think they took the L for the people above them also. Because you got to understand, there's 2 or 3 people up top that resigned really quietly that no one talked about. But my point
so
is,
about like superintendent. What are you talking about?
Superintendent, yeah, okay. Superintendent. There's some people up there that resigned really quietly, and then the administrators took all the L's, and rightfully so. But my point is, when you pass this No Child Left Behind, and we got kids that can't read that's been being pushed up all the way, and the only 3 times they get talked about is your 5th grade, your 7th grade, and your 8th grade. You take tests to pass. Those are the years that they decide to say, hey, look, I'm gonna make you take a test to get to high school. But 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, they're getting pushed along the whole way. So now you gotta think about, all right, I have an influx of students. We got kids that can't read, and they're stuck in the 8th grade. Now, again, this is not me saying, hey, they did what they had to do, it was cool. But what's the difference? The 1st and 2nd grade teacher that passed that kid that can't read, who's on a kindergarten level, because if you can ask him right over there, how many kids are on their reading level or above? So you can wait till 8th grade to tell the kid you got to pass a test that he can't even read?
Right. Well,
so he can't go to high school.
He learned to read in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
He learned to read in elementary school.
He learned to read in elementary school. So these are issues. These are issues.
Right.
And again, I agree with you. Administration did whatever they shouldn't have did it. But if you want to talk about something, you got to talk about the top folk that's actually letting all this stuff go. Like it's crazy that they're letting these kids pass. Like even now, you can talk to a minister. If a kid that's 14 years old and he's in the 7th grade right now, and they don't want him, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna pass him. They just pass them.
Bring back vocational schools.
That No Kid Left Behind
and
thing.
have auction. But see,
but
this is
it's not just
a lot
about
like, I'm not
vocation.
being funny, I'm not
No.
trying to crack a joke, but it's sounding a lot like police.
Huh?
When the police officers, well, yeah, he whipped his ass, but he didn't beat his ass that bad, or I mean, we're in 2 professions, and like I said, I love teachers. I honor teachers all the time because I think you guys have a hard job. It's underpaid. But the thing that you don't get that you get that police don't get is that admiration. There's not
But that's
a bad
new,
day
though.
when those kids.
That's
look
not
at
true.
kids love
a lot
that,
of
man. Come
police
on
get
now.
admiration. You're talking about police
no,
in the city,
no,
and then you gotta ask why.
We get it. No, I'm saying we get it, but our job,
There's
you
no
can't
song
expect
called
to get
Fuck
it.
the Teachers.
Exactly. Plus, you got to look at it as law enforcement. When I come and arrest you, I don't care how it is. There's no vest that's not violent. Me and him police for years, and he'll tell you, I'll put them hands on you if it's justified. But what I'm saying with teachers, at the end of the day, if you have a hard day and you're helping a kid try to read, if the kid figures out what or the difference between your and yours.
Here's a question for you.
That's great.
I hear you. Now let's say a kid, because it's just now got taught that there's different types of learning skills, right? Yeah. So you got your visual, auditorial, and kinetic.
Tactile.
Yeah, right. So you're talking about the test in this. So let's remove what we just talked about. This is just an actual question. I don't want to think about the administration. So a kid has been taught for however long the wrong way of teaching, a wrong way of learning, and you're his teacher helping him with his test, and I tell you, hey, you can't do nothing. You just gotta let him do a test on his own. But we already know that he's a certain type of test taker. Do you read the test for him and then ask the questions even though you're not supposed to because he can't read properly? Or you just let him say, you just say, fuck it?
I say, you know what I say? You gotta grab your right hand like that. Typically right hand. I grab my balls with my right hand. And you gotta grab up and man the fuck up because it's the same thing that happens in law enforcement. And you speak on that. It doesn't happen a lot in Atlanta. I know I was 30 years and I always champion Atlanta. But when you put your hands on somebody in Atlanta, and it's not just, hey, chill the fuck out, dude. And I know, how many times somebody tell me.
So it goes back to what they teach
But I'm
you
saying
versus
is, at some point you got to, and to me, a teacher, I guess it's different because I grew up in the suburbs and I grew up when the Cobb County was, and it's just, in the black teachers I had, they were just, they're part of you. You know what I'm saying? So I know it's different, but I know every teacher I had, every black teacher, white teacher, I can take to the point of what they taught me that I left with. And I'm just saying that for teachers not to want that, you got to hold them to me, a higher standard in law enforcement because you are our future. If you guys don't do it, if you don't call out, just like you're calling out now, at some point somebody's got to grab their nuts, do a 60-minute special, follow me around the school year, or 2020 undercover, whatever. But if you don't do that, the only people are being, and see, then you're wondering why we had to put the smackdown on them at 17 and 18.
I come from a 6'4" area, but I see it totally different. I had white friends, point blank clearly. I was a C student all throughout high school. C student, you know what I'm saying? 78s or whatever you want to call it. I got a person that's just as bad as me, if not fucking worse. Did everything the same. He was a B student. So therefore, so you're condemning the teachers that are in the city for, and not you personally, but I'm just saying it's condemned that they do more or they cheat for the kids or they do extra. When that one teacher, she gave him 2 points when she didn't give me none. So he ended up being a B student compared to so now he gets a little more sports. He gets looked at by a little more schools. That's what teachers do in our community. And then when you're talking about the people up top, they condemn that. They condemn it. So I'm not saying, again, this is not going back to what you were talking about, but it's often we get, like he says, teachers get ran off because they do more for kids. And it's hard to understand. It was hard for me to understand for me my first two years in the system I'm in because I didn't grasp the concept of the realities kids go through. And then when teachers buy into the realities they go through because they know what's going on, everything opens up and changes.
So what you're saying is that once a teacher recognized how they learned, they would ask questions differently for that student. Yeah. And they're getting ran off because of that.
Yeah, well, in a nutshell. But because the point is, like, you're not allowed to do that. When you go to a standardized test, the only thing you're supposed to do is walk around, make sure the kid's up, make sure he's doing his work, make sure he's not on his phone. But if you know a kid's struggling and you know he can't process the way they want him to process because he's standardized tests, what you do?
Wow.
So no kid left behind. What do you think of?
Oh, it's I hate it.
Okay.
I really hate it, but I have a lot of people in education that says that if it's ran correctly, it will be a perfect tool. I don't agree. I don't see how at any point that's the case.
No kid left behind. What you think about it?
I don't agree with it, but I also, our viewpoints are going to come from different places, so it's easy for me to say that. You know what I'm saying? Because No Child Left Behind didn't affect my schools. You know what I'm saying?
Coach Nash, you still there?
No, he had to go.
You got off.
But let me hold on, because based on your question, I just got a question from that. I just want to know, from a teacher standpoint, help me understand how does it happen that a kid can get to the 9th grade without knowing how to read? How does it actually happen?
I think there's so many different answers and there's so many different layers to that. I couldn't even really touch on that. You got,
but house No Child Left Behind
house participation.
All right, so just to illustrate the point.
I'm gonna say this real quick, and then your answer. when I first heard of No Kid Left Behind, I thought it meant that we were going to work harder to make sure that this kid
catches up.
Not that we were going to just push them up.
So that's my point. If it was ran quote unquote correctly, because there's a lot of stuff that I found out I didn't know about No Child Left Behind, how it started off. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be like, all right, this kid's here. We're about to give him extra help. The extra help turned into shit. We're just gonna push him.
Wow.
Right. Because either I can give him the extra help, or I can just give him these 2 extra points. All right. So I work in special ed. Last year we had so this year I taught elementary school, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. The teacher that was here before me, or that was the year before that was teaching elementary school, she comes up to me the first semester and she said, "What are we going to do about this certain kid?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, like, I'm going to give him a C. And I was like, I don't understand how you giving him a C. Like, I know the kid. He can't write. He can't spell. He can't read. He was in the 4th grade at the time. Couldn't write his name. I think he was dyslexic.
Has a bip.
Huh?
Has a bip.
Has a bip, no question. And listen, black student with a diagnosis and a bip. You know what I'm saying? That's the precursor to being black with a criminal record. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, wait.
You know, once you get those things.
Explain the bip part, because everybody.
Behavior intervention plan. So it's things that if these kids show behaviors that are recurring, these are ways that we have found and that we've tried to deal with those specific behaviors. It may not work for everybody. You may have different. Your bip will be different than Phil's bip.
So ADD, ADHD.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're talking about. And that is probably the lower one. But there's so many other levels to it. But it's just them telling you, all right, they have an issue. This is how we want to work around their issue. Right. And then if they don't do what we're supposed to do, we're gonna start over and have another meeting.
Right. So she asked me about this kid, and I was like, I don't see how you're giving him C's. I know he's not making them. Like my previous position and the position I'll be next year is very behavior based, and a lot of extracurricular activity based. I'm not a standard general classroom. I said, if it were me, I wouldn't feel comfortable giving him anything but a D essentially, because I'm going to give you credit for showing up,
which don't exist.
You know
anymore.
what I'm saying? Well, barely exists. It's 2 points, I think, cover D's. But
wow.
68
for
to
all
70.
intents and purposes, you got to hit a sweet spot to get it. You know what I'm saying? So she was giving him C's. Well, C's are passing. Like Phil said he was a C student all high school. Like, that's a respectable grade.
So a D now is a failing grade?
There's no such thing as D. Remember, like, before,
It used to be 70,
it used to be,
74.
you know,
Yeah.
9.
It used to be like 5
And it
point
ranges,
swing.
like,
Yeah.
you get from some, in Atlanta, in Georgia, 100 to a 90 is an A. 89 to a 80 is a B. 79 to a 70 is a C. And then it used to be 69 to 65 or 69 to 60 was a D. And then there was an F. It's
changed a whole lot.
It was something like that. But the D's,
Well, I'd have been in trouble.
but D's now is just like there really is no such thing as a D. We call it a D, but there is no D. It's F C B A, and so F plus is a D.
So
I was
Summer
mad.
school.
Look, I was mad they didn't have an E, and now they done
Right.
took
Where's
the D
the E
away.
at?
Damn.
I said, I don't know how you can justify giving him a C. Like, a C is some level of achievement. And I said, I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. And if you come to me later and ask me why my child made this grade, I need to be able to justify it. And all of my data says he's not a C student. We can, listen, just like with anything involving numbers, we can add extra points and give them extra credit and treat this as this way, and we can juke the numbers a lot. You can make it happen. But I said I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. And so she gives the kid a D. And in the IEP meeting, his mom was like, why is my son suddenly making D's when he's been making C's? And we were like, your son can't read. Like, and if you can't read, that doesn't just impact reading. That impacts English, first of all.
Math.
That impacts how we primarily get all the other information. If you can't read and can't add, you can't read about our history and you can't do science. So, like, as simple as those two things are.
After third grade, math is word problems.
Yes.
So you got to get rid of the static. You got to find the numbers, and so if he can't read, you can't do math. You can't do science.
So his dad says, calm down, honey. maybe we're finally getting a real picture of what his performance is. Because it's one of those things where we don't talk about it, especially in special ed. In special ed, it's sort of like, your son did good. I was a gifted student in school. Like, these kids are nowhere near what I'm expecting. You know what I'm saying? So there's a sort of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge in special ed. Like, how we grade our kids is a little different because they're special ed. But I don't understand why any special ed kid is making an A. He might earn a B. I don't know why he's making an A because he hasn't mastered it to the same level that we were asked to in general education. So, but his dad was realistic about it. It was like, maybe we're getting a realistic idea. And so this year, I was his primary teacher, and he got nothing but D's, which is you showed up every day, you made an effort on the work, you showed some improvement here, but you haven't mastered these concepts at all. And it was, but the point is, all it took was having a real conversation with the parents and being realistic about it. You're asking me what it is. This is what my data shows. This is what the numbers show. This is what it is. Can we have an honest conversation about what your child is doing? And a lot of parents can't do that. A lot of parents can't have realistic conversations, whether it be how they conduct themselves socially or how they perform in the class. A lot of people can't have realistic conversations. A lot of adults can't have realistic conversations about how we are.
And in a city school, I can't imagine having that conversation.
You can't, because as soon as your kid gets in trouble, does something, the parents will be like, "Yo, have you checked his BIP? He got an IEP. Did you?" And they know. They're like, Did you ask him this? Did he get his walks around the school? Did he do this? Did he do that? So, I mean, if you're asking questions, I really can't, being in the school system, I don't put it on the school as much as I used to and I want to. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a whole plethora of things.
So the whole system's fucked, basically.
In my opinion, it needs to be reconstructed. Even let's say South Fulton. I worked in South Fulton for 4 years. South Fulton has to follow North Fulton's. We have to do the exact same thing. So no matter if North Fulton gets it, South Fulton gets it. If South Fulton needs something, if North Fulton don't need it, we ain't getting it. You see what I'm saying? So you have North Fulton and North. When I say North, you know what I mean by North, like North Pole. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then and you have different complexion up there.
Yeah.
And you talk about South Fulton. So South Fulton, we have to go by the same rules, the same planning. And again, our kids are different. And that's just, to me, that's just known. We do things differently. We're raised differently. We have different, ways of dealing with parents and all that. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, it's different. They want us to operate like this. So yes, we're failing because we're being told how to teach and raise and what to teach our kids. So are you asking me, is it bad? Yeah, it's bad. So that's why when you go up to, like, what's that, in Chicago and Philly, where that one or two black dudes have their own school system, and like 100% graduate, 96% of those kids going to college almost for free, because you're teaching
teaching them the way that
they need to be teaching. Yeah. Exactly. You're now showing kids, which goes back to the conversation that we were supposed to have.
I was about to try to bring it up. We're about to get back to it. Yeah.
So now
this is classic conversation. It's good.
Yeah, like we're teaching kids about stuff that they want to learn. Like why I want to learn about Thomas Jefferson. You know what I'm saying? Like why I need to learn about a dude who claimed that he made the lights. They have no connection to me. You start giving kids a connection piece, I'm gonna learn everything I need to know. You start teaching kids selling dope and science are damn near the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like related. Like they're so closely related. Yeah. You're talking about making money, like being a banker and just selling shit on the corner. It's the same thing. So once you start actually teaching kids and showing kids, yo, this guy looks like you, this what you can do, everything changes. We're not Atlanta APS. What we're learning right now, all these other schools, all these southern schools, all these black schools, we're not getting what we need because I'm not teaching my kids. I'm not a teacher. I'm an administrator, but I'm not willing to accept our kids learning stuff that, for one, doesn't relate to them. For two, they don't even see anybody who looks like them. We just and like you just read, there's certain things being taken out that directly affect our kids on a positive note.
Good swing back into the topic, because everything, although we got off topic, we didn't really get off topic because all that stuff circles around back to this point and how this happens. Go ahead.
educators up here. Critical race theory. Give me your definitions.
It doesn't affect your school, though.
Okay? No, only if I let it. Critical race theory is an academic movement of civil rights scholars and activists in the United States who seek to critically examine the law as it intersects with issues of race and to challenge mainstream liberal approaches to racial justice. Critical race theory examines social, cultural, and legal issues as they relate to race and racism.
Also known as letting the people know why white people are so far advanced than every other race in America.
Now, this is what the governor said. He said that basically critical race theory is making it clear this dangerous anti-American ideology has no place in Georgia classrooms.
He's
So
correct.
he's basically
from
saying-
the sense that you've heard him say racism is so American that when you protest racism, people think you're protesting America.
Right.
Okay? So from that standpoint, that's his viewpoint. You're telling me all of this stuff. You're talking about it being racism. I'm talking about America. You know what I'm saying? So it's all in how you frame it. You know what I'm saying?
Which goes back to now you gotta, which back to what I stated originally.
Man, that trick you.
You gotta knock everything that you believe in down and relearn. So yeah, he's from his perspective, he's absolutely right because it's so racism is so much embedded in America, it's unreal, especially the police system.
But first, this is what the resolution, the law, the bill said. First, the United States is not an American, a racist country.
All right.
But yet, then he turned right around and said, if you're teaching about it, you're actually teaching about racism in America.
Right. All right. It's in our founding documents. Okay?
We 3/5.
It's in our founding documents. So whether you think it's racism or not, there is a distinguished difference made in our founding documents between me and the rest of y'all. And it's and our country is founded on it. Okay? Then half the country decided that wasn't enough and we should go to war about it. So it wasn't enough that it was in the documents. We should fight about it.
Right.
Okay?
Free commerce.
Right. Which is a whole other thing. I'm barely a capitalist. You know what I'm saying? If we want to burn the whole system down, what to say? I'm gentle and I'm caring about people, but I'm ruthless about institutions. And that goes for all of them. That goes for education, police, financial. We could burn everything down and I'd be perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? Because until we have an honest conversation about things, we're never going to heal those wounds. Okay? That's why when we talk about these things, in whatever podcast we're on at the time or whatever conversation we're having, all of my stuff, social media and whatnot, is directed at white people because y'all can decide what y'all need to do in y'all's community, and it's not for me to tell y'all how to feel about it or how to feel about the country or how to feel about what goes on. Not for me to tell you. I can listen to you tell me how you feel about it, and we can work from there. But I'm going to talk to my people because I can make a difference over here, and we can fix whatever we're doing. And if we fix our shit and you figure out whatever you got going on, then we can solve a problem.
Applause button, bro.
Somebody.
But listen, and I can tell you, he's not just talking. 'Cause I've seen some of his arguments on his page with his fellow white folk.
Billy, call in, Billy.
And they be saying some things. I be like, whoa, but you come right back at them. I be like, but there be some very interesting conversations.
It's easy. The first thing that's going to happen is, okay, what if we're racist? And then somebody's going to go, what about Chicago? Or, why don't you fix it? It's the rap music. Why don't you fix that? And my thing is always, if you want to talk to black people about black people, talk to black people about black people. Have at it. I am talking as a white person to other white people. Let's fix our shit and let them figure out what's going on because the problems you have are unique to the problems that I have. You know what I'm saying? So whatever solutions you have, whatever you see as the biggest problem, y'all figure that out. And if you need me to help, I can help, but it's not my spot. It's not my place to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not white savior. I don't need to come in and tell you how to fix what's going on in the black community. It's not my deal. You know what I'm saying? But I can fix white people. And if in fixing that helps alleviate some of the system, well, then I've done my part for y'all. I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying? But we talk about, think globally, act locally. So fix the people you're around. I talk to white people because I'm white. I know how white people think. And I grew up in a black city, but I'm white and my experiences are white. So I can speak with authority on white experiences in a black city inside of a white country. You know what I'm saying? I can speak with authority on those, and you can't argue with me about those. So I'm talking to you from the same standpoint. I went to the same churches you went to. I read the same history books you read. We're on the same level. I think differently for a reason, and I can talk to you about that. So when y'all figure y'all shit out and we figure our shit out, we'll fix it. But we can't have a realistic conversation because it requires people to examine where they've come from and what they've achieved. And it's tough for you to say, step back and look at wherever you are in life and tell me if that's really because you earned that, or tell me if you had some little helps along the way. And that's a hard conversation for people to have. And I'm not saying they shouldn't
bootstraps
have
up by your shoestrings.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to tell somebody to pick them by the bootstraps when they don't have boots.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a hard conversation to have. And I understand why people who look like me are uncomfortable having these discussions. But we got to have the discussion. Like, I get why it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable for me sometimes. But we got to have the conversation at some point. And if we can't agree on a starting on this platform that we're beginning on, we'll never fix what we have going on.
But how can we have, and this is just from this governor's standpoint.
Not the governor. That's just
well, the board. Well, you're right. No, you're right. You're correct. The Board of Education passed it. And they have 3 black people on the Board of Education. 2 of the 3 voted, or only 2 of the 3 voted against it.
One's a coon.
He voted for it, and everybody else was white on the Board of Education. And then, like Nita just posted, yeah, you got this white lady crying about, I don't want my kids to learn about slavery. You know what I mean? And that's so they're trying to, act as if it didn't happen.
But that's a classic Southern thing. We call it whistling past the graveyard, but it's also something where we used to call it was what happened in genteel society.
But that's not just Southern, because like I said, we were talking earlier. It's
like 14 states right now.
Indianapolis just passed. Like I was telling them, Indianapolis just passed that you cannot teach critical race theory in higher learning anymore. And if you do, we're going to take away your sponsorship and your money. So it's not just here. I just think, and it's just me, it's the mass majority of white people in general, because again, it's a touchy subject. You know what I'm saying? Like, my kid thinks I'm a hero all my life, and then all his life, and then I got a break, and then something comes out, and then he got to be like, Dad, what's up? That would be something tough for me to explain, or I'll deny this shit ain't true. So I don't know, but I just imagine the same type of thing. Like, it's too tough for them to talk about. And I don't think it's Southern.
When I say Southern, I don't mean it's located in the South. I'm saying that historically, that is a Southern way of dealing about things, because we talk about things, like I said, they used to call it genteel society. That's not, we don't talk about those things when we drop our awes and when we drink our mint juleps. We don't talk about these sort of things. And it's like when they talk about, when we read stories about plantations and stuff, and they talk about how happy everybody was and how well fed everybody was. We don't talk about the bad things. And by all means, that is 70% of the country, but that is a very Southern method of dealing with things, is if we just don't talk about those things, because if I don't talk about what's going on with black people in my white neighborhood, there aren't any black people. So I don't really know why I'm worried about what happens with black people. So we don't have to talk about all that, because that's terrible, and I've got better things to do and more things to think about in my own life than to worry about what's going on over here. And so by keeping people separate and by compartmentalizing our problems to just those people who are in our neighborhood who happen to look like us, it means we don't have to think or relate to anything that y'all are dealing with. So that is when I say that's a Southern mindset, that is in an area that was overwhelmingly black but overwhelmingly controlled by white people, and things were segregated. That's how we dealt with things. Southern, that is a Southern way of dealing with things. Not that is a Southern mindset that is only in the South, but it's a Southern method of dealing with things.
Makes sense. So, I mean, I had one of my servers brought this to my attention the other day. She's also a teacher full-time. And she said they were in a meeting and they were told, and that this critical race theory, that they're told to teach that blacks were not brought here via slavery. They were brought here for a better way of life. And this is what they're being told to teach the kids, and she teaches at a predominantly white school with black students, and that's what they're telling them, that they were brought here for a better way of life, not slavery, not they were brought on none of that stuff.
Nah,
and I was like, wait a minute, they're actually telling you to teach that?
But you gotta, but even before they even started trying to put blockages on what we teach, just imagine how you teach us. We've rarely ever talked about how we got here. You know, we was just quote unquote brought over. They don't ever even acknowledge that it's
brutality involved and everything else.
Only 10% of the people they took made it to places they were supposed to go.
Correct.
You know how large that number is? If only 10%, and like so it's just always been like that. Now again, they're just really putting their foot down on what they want you to tell them, because certain things were being taught. The Trail of Tears, you know, that started being discussed more so than not. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not called Indians anymore. You know, they're called natives. Mm-hmm. You know, they're telling them they can't call them. Like, you're not going to talk about Native Americans going off what you're reading right now. That's not in the history books no more. The Native Americans have been completely removed if all this goes down.
So, but I'm trying to understand why y'all are surprised. We've taught, and I, you know, we've taught.
I know
throughout our lives, we've taught an American myth, and that's even as far as the role that we play in the rest of the world. You know what I'm saying? We've always been taught an American myth. So this is just a continuation of the American myth.
Yeah, I agree. Now I agree with you with that, but the reason why we're so surprised is somebody can blatantly come out and say, "Look, I know we fucked y'all over, but y'all can't talk about it now." You know what I'm saying? Because again, going off the lady who commented on you, said she was a 30-year vet teaching. My black teachers taught me my history one way or another. You know what I'm saying? I had too many white teachers that did not, and they told me what they told me what they were told to tell me. But now they're telling the few black teachers and now white teachers that will help you pick at the wall of bullshit that you can't do that. That's what I'm surprised about. Now again, I'm not surprised about the people that don't know their history and love the dream to try to teach me the dream. That's always gonna be the case, no matter what job you're in, like policing. You know what I'm saying? But now you got teachers. You're telling teachers that you can't talk about that. That's an issue. Yeah,
it's an issue, man.
Yeah, let's stay off of that. Let's not tell kids that they can go learn how to fix air conditioning in 2 years. You can have your own.
Well,
business.
and if you look at the states, you don't even have to call the states out, but they're going to be Republican strongholds.
You know what they're going to look like.
But you also got to look at it from this standpoint, how organized, and that goes back to when the president said there's no America's not racist.
The Democratic president.
Yeah, but it speaks to it because it speaks to basically they're trying to fix everything that Trump unfixed. When he pulled the blanket off, like I'm pro-Trump from that standpoint only. From the standpoint when he pulled that,
pulled the mask off.
You get a mask off. Think about it, and I would like you to chime in on that a little bit later as a white person, only one in the room, and basically
half of the white delegation.
Speak for your people. But what happened when Trump did was made white people uncomfortable with being white, the decent ones, and that's something that Obama couldn't do, Kennedy, nobody could do, just for it being right. You know what I'm saying? Because Obama was down.
But now here's a question: you think he made and this? You think he made?
You're going where I'm going right now.
You think he made the people that pretend it's not real uncomfortable, or the people that feel this way he was empowered? Because I don't think he made any white person feel uncomfortable. I think he made a certain group empowered.
The decent white people, the people that were already empowered, he called them out where they were comfortable saying exactly how they meant it. Before Trump came in, the very same people that marched on Washington, none of those are poor white people living in trailers.
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever those
he empowered people more.
Yeah.
He empowered people more, so he made people feel better.
But I meant when he did that, that's never been done in American history. We're truly having dialogue on race for the first time. All the fucked up shit that's happened, it happened and it happened under Democratic presidents, it happened under Republican presidents. The fucked up shit was part of who America actually is.
And it was accepted. It was still accepted.
Exactly, but
I ain't giving him credit.
You're not going. I
ain't
don't
like
think
he tried to do it.
No. My point is, he's so fucked up that he did the right thing. And now what they're trying to do, exactly.
Right.
So what they're doing
I ain't
now,
giving him credit
what
for
they're
that
doing now, with credit. The thing is, if it wasn't for him, we've moved forward in the race because of Trump being fucked up. That never would have happened. Because what? You have, like you said, a Democratic president trying to put everything back like it was. Oh, shit, Trump broke it. Let's put it back where it was.
I don't agree.
Put him back. That's what's happening. My opinion.
I grasp your concept. I get you.
Because I see it from law enforcement standpoint. Now, because of Trump being fucked up, now we're looking at issues that wasn't taken care of, that should have been taken care of under Rodney King. Right? Everybody can agree on that because Rodney King shouldn't have happened.
So you're saying so it started in the 90s?
Yeah, from the 90s, all they did was play lip service to it. Everybody's always talked about community-oriented policing. Atlanta's been doing that since 1990. We had community-oriented policing in different levels. So what I'm saying is all that shit was fake. Because at the end of the day, you had community-oriented policing, but at the same time, you had goon squads like the GI Squad,
Red
Dog, and I was in Red Dog and I was in GI also, so I can speak on it. But what I'm saying is, what's happened now, we're having honest dialogue, and for the first time, white people, the decent ones, are having to admit, hey, we're fucked up.
Hold on.
And that's never been admitted before.
We're not having honest dialogue if the president said there's no such thing, we're not racist. Nothing happened to the folks that stormed. Like we're having honest dialogue, and they have to listen, and they can't call us.
Everybody's putting this bullshit in. So what they're trying to do now, what Republicans are trying to do, and racists are trying to do, is shackle education, because if you control the minds, if you erase everything, the people give it 5 years from now, and people are going to forget about it. If you don't talk about it, people are going to forget about it. And pretty soon, we're going to be in the same position again where another Trump can be elected.
So here's my question. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
You've been trying.
You've been trying.
No, go ahead. Just the whole credit to this month. Yeah, it's hard for me to do that, but go ahead.
Totally credit, but what I'm saying is he's so fucked up, he actually helped America, in my opinion. Yeah. Because it didn't happen. It didn't happen under Bush. It didn't happen under Bush. It didn't happen under Trump. It didn't happen under Trump.
Because I think the same people, because the people you're talking about, the decent ones, they still don't come out and speak for us for the most part. Most people that walked and marched and quote unquote rioted and did all that with us were these young folk. Now, one person really, I walked a couple of times the past year and a half. I didn't see too many people over 40. So the decent people you talking about that's been around, they still quiet as kept. Like, damn, that's fucked up. Yeah, man, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to touch that subject. Now, but the empowerment point is like, you know what? Fuck that nigga. You right. He's right. He's telling it like it is. So that's where we disagree on. Now the ground level that you're talking about, we on the same page.
But it never would have gotten to that page. What I'm saying is, you have people marching. And see, I was there at Ground Zero. I was in Atlanta when the AU Center started marching. Mm-hmm. I was over the SWAT team.
That was the question I was about to ask you.
We set up the gas and everything else, and those kids were so fucking polite. It was like my son and your son out there marching. No issues whatsoever. What the media chose to do, and I've talked about this before on the show, they went through a sea of
good ones,
black kids, found the one guy,
the one mad kid.
But you know, one kid. It was a homeless guy who was an unclean, and
that's been happening. That's been happening forever.
Yeah, my question.
They always get that person that can't talk.
Yeah.
That. What was the girl? What was the girl that she ended up going viral?
Oh yeah, you about to lose your job. You got the one like I ain't got time for that. All of them.
There it is. She went viral for that. Yeah. They found her, and that was way before Trump.
Yeah. But my question, I was about to ask
I said Trump. I don't say his name. that was way before. You done made me say his name twice.
How do you feel about the riot situations?
The riot situation?
Just in general.
I was at Ground Zero at the riot, CNN building when it first started.
No, I was there. I was there too.
Okay.
But I'm
It's
asking you in
bullshit.
general.
It wasn't a riot.
Nah.
What happened was
I think they got bullied.
You had Black Lives Matter allowed their agenda to be hijacked by anarchists. We're locked up white kids and white young adults from Oregon, Washington State, all over the West Coast.
But you know what though?
Areas.
But my question is the same. Even when you go back to in Atlanta when they ignore Black Lives Matter. And remember when the mayor was like, you know, we'll talk to y'all. It took folks to get on the interstate on 85 during work hours for them to say something. Remember they started walking on the interstate?
Yeah.
They ignored
I was there too.
the whole. So my point is like,
Yeah.
I get into it a lot with a lot of people, parents included, about the importance of rioting. Like
not rioting.
not
Marches.
looting.
No,
part.
not rioting.
Not looting.
No,
I'm talking
not
about-
rioting. They weren't right. See, this is.
No, I'm talking about in general. No, what I'm talking about
You're
in
doing
general.
what white media did.
No.
White media said riot. I was out there. Those kids weren't rioting.
I didn't ask
they
about
walked.
our kids.
They weren't.
No, that's not.
no,
they
what-
weren't.
I don't think you hearing what
But-
I'm asking. I'm
yeah.
saying I'm not talking about. I didn't ask you about the Atlanta riot. I'm saying rioting in general.
I'm totally against rioting. Now, when you get in there, because what rioting means that you've gone out of control, you're burning, you're looting. That's rioting. Social discord, when you're walking onto the interstate, that was peaceful. When we told those kids to go, we grabbed them like that, they went. In fact, we went down there loaded for bear, and we ended up walking and talking. The whole time they marched, and you can get any AU Center kid that was actually part of that, they're probably in the business world now, will say, no, we talked to the Atlanta police. Those are decent kids. These were all young black people. They chose to make it into an unclean thing because, like I said, there was kids out there, Kappas, Omegas, everybody, and they walked through a sea of those kids to find the one unclean on the corner and talk to him and let him, fuck the police. Those kids were not about that. And what I hate when rioting is put in that same context because in Atlanta there wasn't, in the vast majority all over the country, it wasn't until they were revved up. A lot of the heavy tactics by some of the other police departments turned it into rioting, but it was social discourse,
Now, see,
and it's covered under the
I wasn't
Constitution.
talking about
Rioting is not
I
covered.
wasn't talking about
Social
Now, see,
discourse.
this is where, like I said, I wasn't out there, and I watched a lot of it on the news, but it happened. Y'all understand? This happened right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I feel that a lot of the rioting part, some of it didn't have to do with the police being over aggressive. Some of it had to do with just there was some criminals that was at home and figured out,
But that's what I mean, they weren't part of it.
Yeah.
If you
I can
to-
go out at, now it's 10 o'clock. All of the Black Lives Matter people was home.
You're basically talking
There was
about
NBA
Lennox
players.
Mall. You talking about Lennox Mall?
Yeah, there was
Lennox Mall,
NBA
Fifth
players
Plaza.
walking out there.
We didn't see
there was no
anybody,
issues. But then all of a sudden you see people, I posted it on my Facebook page. I recorded it. I'm like, what the hell does kicking a martyr sign have to do with what's going on? These were sometimes it was just criminals
They were dropping off
doing
bricks, the
criminalistic
anarchists
behavior
were dropping
that
off
they hadn't
bricks.
been able to
Same-
do
We
within
didn't
the
see
last.
any kids,
They,
any of the
had,
people
they hadn't been
we
able to
locked up
steal
from
anything.
Atlanta,
They hadn't been able to break
we
anything
didn't
because
see.
everything had
They
been
went
closed.
down there
From here.
protesting. They didn't come out. The ones that went to Phillips and Lennox were the thugs in Atlanta, and they went out in force. Prior to that, like I said, we were having conversations with them.
I'm totally in
But
that.
I
That
was
was
talking
no
to the
rioting at
law
all.
a
There was no
good
rioting
bit.
at all.
But I think when I was talking about like maybe the Minnesota when they actually went ahead and burned down the police department.
It's the same thing. You let thugs take
Yeah,
over
man.
a good message.
Yeah.
Because you got to realize who's suffering now from the backlash of Black Lives Matter caused a lot of police now it's race involved in it too, because a lot of people, a lot of officers have said, hands off, let them see that they need us.
But
And they're
but after
And see,
that,
this is when I
that's
started.
when and again I argued again that I thought it was more so staged. But after that Minnesota stuff, more police than normal were more so accepting and understanding. Y'all was out there taking knees with us. Like, let's talk about it. Let's walk together. I call bullshit.
If you go to Atlanta, if you go to roll the shit back, and you'll see Atlanta police officers, because we had to pull a couple off the line. A lot of the young officers got so emotional, we had to pull them off the line. Officers were taking part in it, white and black, and that's the biggest thing that Black Lives Matter and a lot of African Americans got to understand. A lot of white cops aren't racist, because there's a lot of other shit. Think about it. In racist ass America, there's a lot of shit a white boy can do other than pick up a gun and be a cop. That pays a hell of a lot more. A lot of those officers were just saying, hey, look, they're right, because the people that were actually marching weren't thugs. They were just people that were sitting up there saying, hey, look, and they were asking us, how can you have that uniform on? And a lot of the officers, myself included, were explaining to them, this is how I can have a uniform on. And what's happening now is come full circle, the thin blue line, like people like to talk about, is protecting. Just like they're trying to say, size this down, a lot of departments are doing the same thing. They're trying to protect the old way of doing things. Now, Atlanta, that's not the case. We've been forward-thinking all along. But across the country, law enforcement's changing, because a lot of people didn't agree with it for the longest. The thing I think that's hurting African Americans, a lot of people want to make it seem like there's a boogeyman on every corner. There's not. There's not. There's not that many African American males killed. How they beat them, and I've said it on the show before, is with a pen. When you give somebody a felony charge, it carries a lot more weight than an ass whooping. And that's what I think needs to be monitored and tracked more so. A nationalized police force would change a lot, academies and things of that nature.
When all of that happened, this is when I started saying we have to start, and Angelo heard me say it all the time, we have the, at that moment, and we still do kind of, at that moment we had the country's ear. And we needed to clean up our own backyard, because we had a lot of people out there that was doing more damage than anything. And these were the criminalistic people. Again, you know, when you got criminals in the house for 3 months.
People that took over Wendy's.
They can't do nothing because everything was closed. Yeah, now that.
No, the people that took over Wendy's, I said took over. I didn't say it wasn't burned up by a white girl, but the people that took over Wendy's were the thugs that were involved in it. Yeah. The same one, the same Wendy's, the ones that shot the little girl for that Wendy's. That wasn't a white girl with that AR that shot the young black girl who was at the liquor store with her parents. So like I said, like you said, there's a lot we have to clean up. But I hate when people try to make, because what happened in Atlanta, to me, was beautiful. I've never seen that many people of color, other than black, and black people together in a positive role in a long time. That was all black people and sprinkling whites in there, and then more whites started coming, college-age kids mostly. But there were so many black people, like you said, they got their strollers and got the hell on tonight. They did the little photo bit, got the march, okay, let's go. You guys gonna be back tomorrow? And they left. It was what the anarchists that stuck around, black and white, and the thugs that came out and they headed straight to Lenox. They weren't not in the same hemisphere. They waited till the clock struck 12 and it started.
Probably about 10:30. They came out a little earlier than 12. By 12, they were full force, but most of the right people was at home by then.
But America is racist.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just clarify.
Yeah, you keep on going off, but
yeah.
Which is great dialogue. But yeah, it is.
And
it's depressing to hear at all the stuff he talks about and how he got our votes, and how he X, Y, and Z. For him to say that, for two.
If you didn't vote for him, you weren't black.
Huh? Yeah. So it's just they Democrats, Republicans, they neck and neck to me.
Well, it's politics, man. Politics is just BS by itself. But you know, I was trying to understand. Because like you said, because then, you know, the VP came back and said the same thing. And I was just, when I heard it said, I was trying to figure out where are they going with this? What are they, do they have an underlying meaning to it? Because to say this country is not racist when it was built off of racism, you know what I mean? The Constitution is racist by itself.
Every major organization
just
is embedded.
Well, what if? Let me pose a question. My wife, very astute politically, very outspoken, said that the thing that she respects the most about the GOP is that they are win at all costs for whatever they personally thought about Trump, he helped them accomplish some goals because he got them 3, Supreme Court justices. He got, so as ugly as he may be and as unfathomable as it is that he represented people, he was able to allow them, while he was out distracting all of everybody, they were able to accomplish these things behind him. Is it possible that they have learned from this and are saying whatever they need to say to get people to calm down and listen to them, and that we are looking at it from the standpoint of, well, why can't you just call a spade and admit what it is? Is there a possibility that they're just like, we're going to take a page out of the GOP notebook and we're going to say whatever we need to say to get everybody to work with us and get everybody on our side? Is it possible that they're thinking that far ahead, or is that wishful thinking on my part?
That's exactly what they're doing.
I don't think they are.
What?
I think it's more simple.
Then why say it?
I think what he did was just trying to part the Red Sea.
We talking about the same Democrats that got in dashikis and took knees. Right?
Same
Am I
ones.
tripping? That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Look like just white Lion King everywhere. Nah, man.
But until it changes, like I said, and I think they're setting things up, everything's set up and right for we'll have another Republican president for 4 years. Because what they're setting up now, you got to look at the crime rate is through the roof.
You say so? You're saying the crime rate is through? So you're saying the crime rate is worse than it was?
Oh hell yes. Not even close. It's violent crime is a lot worse now.
Matter of fact, even so.
Wait, not worse in what time frame? Are you talking about since the 80s, or are we talking about since 2007?
I'm talking about just in general.
It is higher now than it has been in the past 5 years.
Is it higher now because
it was in '95?
It's higher now.
Is and again, has it gone up because of what you see in social media and everything's being recorded and everything is easier because you have cameras everywhere?
No, stats say it's gone up.
It's gone up because we shooting each other
Yeah.
and robbing people.
Yeah,
Still.
at all-time high. At all-time
how
high.
do you feel? Matter of fact, I'll say these questions for a different time.
No, go ahead. This is classic conversation.
That's right. We go all over the place,
I
bro.
just didn't want to. The whole defund the police movement. How do you feel about that?
Bullshit.
So now, and again, this is just me, my thought process. Defund the police doesn't mean like y'all not gonna ever have no jobs again. But if we're putting a whole bunch of money in you instead of putting money into the actual communities, or even putting money back into your teaching. Now, I will say when it comes to Atlanta police, it's a lot different because I've seen them work, and I do know they go through a lot more training and a lot more classes than the average. Matter of fact, than the majority. So therefore, when I ask you this question, I'm not talking about your actual tangible what y'all do in y'all little space, because Atlanta is only 12 miles big.
What I would say is simply this. You don't defund the police. What you do is defund every third world country we support. What you do is defund all the money that we send over to Israel. That's what you defund. Because what's happening now, if you take it away.
I thought about that before.
Damn, bro.
You might win me over.
Bro,
And also look at this.
You ain't said
Where
this.
do you live, sir?
We've been up here for 6 months. You ain't said that yet.
I right now
Where
live in
do
the
you live?
outskirts of the city.
outskirts.
Kyle.
Okay,
No, it's outskirts. So I'm right.
Okay, now
I'm close to 285, 20. So
do you
therefore,
own a
they tell me
firearm?
I'm in Atlanta, but I know I'm not.
Do you own a firearm?
Yes.
Okay, and I've asked this to these two gentlemen, and one of them I pretty much had to put a gun to him to make him answer the question honestly. Why did you buy a firearm, and who did you buy a firearm to protect yourself against? Don't your lip quivering.
The honest reason.
The lip quivering. You're administrator now. You don't put them.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
shit.
be
You can't
real,
polish it.
I had to be real clear on how to say that, but I bought it for people that don't look like me who can take advantage. I didn't buy it for anything else but for my protection against people that don't look like me. I feel comfortable in my environment when it comes to around black. Even I work in the inner city. I feel comfortable there. You saying bullshit, but it ain't. I got a house behind Douglas. I got a house behind Doug, Dixie Hill. Used to be a crack
I know
street.
exactly.
I used to be a crack street. That's cool, so you should know. But guess what? I had a dog in my yard, and my dog that owned the house, every time he barked, I had 2 or 3 neighbors that called me every day to tell me if there's something going on around my house. I have like.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. I go to community meetings.
Dixie Hill was not a beautiful neighborhood. When I bought my house, it wasn't a beautiful neighborhood. I bought my house on a crack street.
Y'all moved in, but it was still a beautiful neighborhood. What happened was you have African American working class people that are trapped in with the uncleans. And nobody cared nobody cared into the black buppies. The white people started moving in and taking back over those areas. Okay, think about that big ass park. The big ass park that's over by the dome now. I mean, by the Jordan
You're talking
Dome.
about gentrification.
Oh, yeah, okay. For gentrification, before then, parks weren't needed. Parks weren't needed.
They were, but then we brought them in because of white people coming.
As a Atlanta public school teacher, when did what's that school?
Matter of fact,
theme school. When did the theme school come
I'll
off
tell you
Memorial
this.
Drive?
This is what happened when you want to talk about Atlanta. They've been playing chess. When I say they, I've been talking about the people up top, and those people up top don't normally look like me. They've been playing chess for the longest. 3 times ago, before Kasim Reed, guess what? They started trying to introduce white people being mayors in our city. When's the last time a white mayor or even ran for our city? It's been a very long time. They took out Bankhead. They took off Sims. They knocked down all the projects.
Who's they?
Huh?
Who's they?
They.
Spell out who's they. Because I don't think you know who they is.
Who they is? They're white?
They is Shirley Franklin, sir.
Huh?
Shirley Franklin did that.
Did what?
Shut down the projects.
No, see, you're saying and this is my thought. You're saying Shirley Franklin, it happened on her watch. But my point is, everything was systematically done, and then once all those streets and everything was knocked down, they introduced trying to get a white mayor in here. He didn't win, but she was close. She didn't win, but she was close. And then guess what they started doing? They started putting money into the quote-unquote schools all of a sudden. Coretta Scott King all of a sudden got $1 million makeover. Best Academy, $1 million makeover. They started redoing all these schools, and then they call them academies. Right? And then guess what? And now it happened in East Atlanta.
I'm retired. I can talk about it. All that happened. Look.
No, did it happen in East Atlanta?
No, it happened way before then.
Did it happen in East Atlanta?
What basically happened is it happened in East Atlanta.
It happened in East Atlanta. You know where else it happened? You know Techwood. You remember Techwood?
Yeah.
You remember how? You remember
Centennial
how?
High School.
You remember how?
Centennial Elementary.
No, not the schools. The area. You remember how? You remember what Techwood was? What's Atlantic Station built on? What's it built on? Techwood was the first ghetto in America. You know what they did? They slowly in America. I don't know if you knew that. First ghetto made in America.
No, you're
Google
wrong
it.
about that.
Google
Why
it.
was Techwood made? Why was Techwood?
Techwood was the
Why was
first
it originally
ghetto.
made? No. Why was Techwood Homes originally made?
It was. They did what the Germans did and try to bring the ghetto over here to see how it worked. White people moved in, and guess what?
Techwood Homes was made for servicemen returning after the war. That's what Techwood Homes was made. Now, what did it turn into?
Techwood was Techwood was the first ghetto in America. Google it.
What did it turn into? I said, what was it originally designed for?
A ghetto, a project.
That's not what it's done.
It is. All you gotta do is Google it. No, you pull it up.
I know it. I used to work Techwood.
No, but you weren't born when it was made.
No, my point is I learned the history of Techwood.
No, you learned your history of Techwood. I'm telling you what it was originally established. But my point is, just like they did Techwood and turned it to Atlantic Station, the same way they did East Atlanta. And then you got $1 million homes back there out the first street over there by Cohen Middle School
Boulevard.
and Cohen Holland Boulevard. Although they're doing all that strategic, they started buying all that stuff. I bought my house for $5,000 and let it get suppressed around all the other stuff. And guess what? There's a house cattle corner for me going for $300,000.
That's
and
the gentrification.
Exactly.
It happened.
Gentrification
but it did not happen.
is a
You know when it happened?
organization.
You know when it happened? You know when it happened?
So you
it started under Campbell.
It
started under Mayor
gentrification
Campbell.
ain't planned?
Yes, it was.
So
but
you're
what
telling
I'm
me
saying
the same time they closed down schools,
you're trying to make it into a white thing.
I'm not trying to make it into a white thing.
It was a rich thing. It was money over black. That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
You had black
so
mayors.
Money over black.
You had black mayors. You had black council persons that profited from it. When you look at the Beltline, the Beltline. At some point, when they locked Kareem's ass up in the down,
so they changed
all
all the projects. They got rid of them, and then they brought the Beltline because they didn't bring the Beltline.
No, that was all planned.
You damn right it was planned.
Exactly. It was all planned. But that was all shut down. That was, I don't care if white businessmen came in, but there was just as many black people and the black mayors that profited from it. You had a black mayor that died where it was just a mayor that had 4 concessions at the airport.
Now let me ask you
profited.
I know
so you're talking about you're talking about an
Yeah.
individual that profited. You know what happened? They call that a crab. Just to be clear, when you profit, when you get a backdoor deal, you getting backdoor money for all this stuff. You're right. They profited. But all my point is to you, the people that are above above our pay grade, far above our pay grade, they had a system. It happened in East Atlanta. It happened
in Detroit. It happened in D.C.
Yeah.
It happened in Baltimore.
And we still talking about it's us.
Yeah.
So
no, but what I'm pointing
look
is
how much they
the people we put there to protect that. The very people we put there to protect that took part in it.
They got paid to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then which goes back to ethics.
Exactly. So now how do you stop something like that? I mean, I don't live in Atlanta, but how do you stop something like that?
For one, we got to go back to voting. You got the people that come.
But I mean, I'm sure that people. I mean, we're talking about black mayors.
Yeah.
Black people voted for them.
Mm-hmm.
How do you? I mean, what keeps you from voting for the next black politician that's just going to profit from it?
Keyword being politician.
To answer your question, which goes back to
that's the keyword politician.
Keyword politician.
Yeah,
it's all about money, man.
Just to answer your
money
question,
and power.
my
It's
theory,
politics.
This is only my theory, and again, I say this a lot. Only my theory. Going back when I asked a question about defunding, and again, I asked him about defunding. He threw me with a loop when he said, stop giving money for X, Y, and Z. But you do what you do, how you just did when you want white folks to move in. When it's just for us, it fixes everything. Everything that we asking for, you ain't giving us until they suppress everything, buy everything up, and flip it. So that's what my point is. You could have been gave us parks, actual quality parks.
Okay, now
you
we're
could
the
have
same
been.
way.
You could have
We're
been
the
putting
same
money
way.
in
We
our
got a park
pockets
in
in our
City Block.
schools. That's what you could have been. All that stuff could have been done, but it's not getting done until they got their foot in. It. So therefore, it's a loop for us.
So it's damn near.
It's a loop. So, but you're saying, it just happened. All that shit was strategic.
No,
they
it was planned,
told
what I'm saying
everybody in the
is-
projects, hey, look, we're gonna give you a stipend. I need you to move out there. So when you go back to, like I said, South Fulton and the Bannekers and the Creek sides and all that, some of those kids are from the city. Like when I
From the
over there talk,
projects, yes.
they say,
That's
hey,
why- that's why
I'm
Clayton
from
County
Bankhead.
went down
So all
overnight.
they did was those parents. They bought the land from under those folk, told your ass to move out there, gave you a stipend. That's what they did, and they came in, and they're holding on to that property, and then that's how they flip it.
And that one goes all the way back to the Georgia Dome.
It predates the Georgia Dome, because remember
This is
the
another
Georgia
example.
Dome, they're talking about it's gonna be when they just take it.
Intimate domain.
Intimate domain. They told it, look, you either gonna pay for this shit, or we're gonna take it.
We're gonna take it.
But that was in Mercedes Stadium. But I mean, the Georgia Dome, when they did the Georgia Dome, when I first came on in 1990,
You talking about
we
the,
had white people riding around. And in the bluff, if you white in the bluff, you're a heroin addict. So they were getting pulled over. And there was black people with briefcases with money in it. They were going through all these different homeowners and saying, we'll give you 10,000 cash.
Oh yeah, they had to
20,000
change
cash
that.
for your home.
Yeah,
exactly.
When that
And
Georgia Dome went up, they cleaned all that up.
Yeah,
I remember
overnight.
that.
So
Yeah.
they clean when they want
Them
to.
nice apartments went
Yeah,
up
but my
real
point is
quick.
why you can't defund the police, and I joked about it, but I shouldn't have. The reason why you can't defund the police is because it's not going to affect you, Mr. Outskirts. Outskirts. It's not going to affect us. We can have this.
Do I live the closest to the city in East Point? Am I the
No.
closest?
You're probably the closest.
I'm like 4 miles away.
Okay.
I'm in Atlanta, but I know it ain't.
He
yeah.
basically says that if you defund the police, it's going to affect basically the black neighborhoods.
And it's affecting them
Who
now.
people need
That's
the
what,
most.
that's what's gonna affect.
But
That's
Because the crime
he
that's
was going to
affecting
go into a
them-
long
the
explanation.
crime
I thought I'd break it
the
down for
crime
you.
that's affecting our communities is the larger majority of us are on the lower income scale. And when you defund the police, now what I want to is reform the police, but you cannot defund the police.
So every dollar y'all get, you think you should keep?
I think it needs to be reallocated within the department, but yes.
Correct.
Because if you do not have armed patrols in certain areas, if you do not have an increased police presence in some areas, as bad as it is now, because officers are saying, like I was mentioning, hands up, all over the country, in black cities, officers are saying hands off. And the crime rates are through the roof for aggravated assault and homicides in every black city in America.
So here's a question, and Malcolm X actually asked it. If you got 80% of your troops in our neighborhoods, how in the hell we have so much crime?
And I'll answer that. The reason is because school systems are fucked up. You don't have, you go to Zone 1. Think about this now, because you live there and you work there. Okay, Zone 1. When a kid graduates from, say, Doug, Washington, used to be, what's the one that closed down? Harper Archer.
Harper Archer's middle school.
Harper Archer,
Turner.
Used to be high school.
Yeah.
Turner and all those schools. When they graduate, hell, if they just want to work at Mickey D's, when you go to McDonald's and you try to get, I don't eat there, but when you go to McDonald's, how old is a person in that window?
It varies. I don't go there, so I wouldn't
Okay,
be
you don't
answering.
go, but
But sometimes it's young, sometimes I know
it's very
my
seldom young. It's very in that area in Zone 1. It's very seldom young. If you patrol Zone 1, you see the trucks coming in and turning to the right on Bankhead Highway, Donnelly Highway. They're going to all these different commercial areas. White boys 4 and 5 deep on the back of trucks, or black guys from the outskirts coming in, or Latinos coming in that area. They don't hire from within. You have black mayors that didn't make it a requirement to get the tax deductions for going in those areas. You had to hire a certain amount of the community.
That's not school.
No, I'm just saying where the school factors into it. When you're putting kids that can't even read out there in that situation,
which goes above school.
Now, I'm not knocking the teachers. I'm not knocking the teachers.
No, you can knock the school system, because I think about the school system as a whole, just like I think about, Republicans,
and
Democrats,
so what happens
and police.
Is, with all this fucked up, and what's happening to African-American youth, I said this a lot of times on the show, is they feel disenfranchised with the American dream.
They feel they are.
And they are, but in all intents and purposes,
They feel or they are? They are.
They are.
Okay.
They are.
As long as,
they are.
As long as we agree that they are.
They are. So not our kids, not the people in the fringes of Atlanta and the cities, but the kids that are in that city, in that area. They're surrounded by uncleans that are basically psychological issues, but there's not a system in place because Reaganomics scuttlebutted the mental health care system in America. So now you've got these kids that need help, and then they don't get help. All you have is a commercialized penal system where they're arrested.
So is Metro?
Who Biden was part of that.
Do you take Metro? Do you consider Metro part of the police department?
Metro.
I don't know. I mean, where the kid.
Juvenile?
Juvenile.
No, it's not.
No.
Not at all.
So, so we're having this conversation. Working out tender school, the kids that who get arrested and sent there, you go off these points that y'all always go off of. The bigger
you know how hard it is to send a kid to...
Yeah, I do know. Yeah. And they need to have a certain amount of points. No matter what goes on, got a certain amount of points. But when those kids go there, most of these kids got PTSD. But the kids that do have actual mental problems or need certain type of catering to, y'all don't offer.
No, don't. Hey, that's not the police. That's juvenile system. And I totally agree.
So therefore, you have the kids.
The African American community is mental health related, and it's not been diagnosed.
How can you say the schools?
No, what I mean by the schools, when they have that system in place where they're passing these kids along, now you already got
the C.
The C and D. But then again, you even going back to what he was telling you, it's the BIP. It's not the teachers being like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna pass."
I'm not
the kids.
saying it's a teacher.
No, I do.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you. I'm giving you a backstory of how they get there.
Until you say it's fucked up, it's always gonna be. We're the biggest cash crop. We're just like collard greens or corn out west, because the African Americans, when they're arrested, they're part of the system. Okay, they're going to the penal system and getting money for that. You got towns in Georgia that are only a couple thousand people strong, but they got an 800-man jail. Why? Because they get all the spill off from Metro Atlanta. And everybody knows that. That's Cobb, Clayton, DeKalb, and Fulton, and Henry, and Rockdale. They all can't house their own criminals because it's mass incarceration, it's business. Until we have an educational system fixed, there's always going to be a bully police force because people are getting fearful. And they're getting more fearful now out there where you stay, and the white folks, because they're seeing this violent crime. Black people are getting, we joke around about it, but it shouldn't be a joke, but the vast majority, everybody on this panel owned up to it. They didn't get this panel to their handguns to protect themselves from white boys doing drive-bys. It's other African Americans, and the only way to protect ourselves against other African Americans, the uncleans as I like to call them, is through education. We got to fix the whole system in dealing with African Americans is broken.
I told you
the system is broken.
I understand what you're saying, but I disagree on so many different levels. It's unreal.
Go ahead, Dwayne, real quick.
I was gonna say, like, especially with the school system, and like you said, no child left behind. I'll try to get my best friend on the line. She's a kindergarten first grade teacher, and she's in the inner city of Atlanta. And she has it where, like you said, I have conversations with her, and she's like, she can't get the parents on the phone. She has kids who have language barrier. It's like all these different, different cases in her class of kids. And to me, the main underlying thing she's saying is like the parents. Like she'll try to even get the parents on board to help. It's like, say if it's a Hispanic kid, it's a language barrier because the mom may don't know English, you know what I'm saying? And the kid is the only one that know English, but she barely know English, so it's not enough for her to teach the kid, you know what I'm saying? And, even now, this year it's been even worse. She was like, because she has to pass some kids. It's been virtual all year, and kid don't even come,
Don't show up.
Welcome to law enforcement.
Hey,
That's
man.
what teachers are fishing.
But
you having to be a social worker
I can
as well as a
imagine
teacher.
how
Listen,
no kid
just-
left behind is going on now.
that's from a kindergarten perspective. And like you said, you have to, let's just say she has to pass this kid along. Like you said, then it gets passed on to the next teacher. Next teacher problem is.
Next, you gotta do the same thing.
You know what I'm saying?
And then when a teacher decides to say, "Hey, look, I'm not passing your kid," they got 6 different things that not the principal, but are telling them, I got to supply 6 different reasons of why I'm not gonna fail you, and all stuff I did. But to be clear, education in the school system is not a reason why our black kids don't like cops. First, second,
I didn't say that. No, you never hear me say that.
no, but you're
I
saying
didn't say
like
that.
you get education, everything changes.
No.
You say
put
you
words
get-
in my mouth. No,
I apologize
what I
if I
simply
am.
said was, if you fix the educational system, and bring in vocational schools, which I advocate for, until you do that, we're forever going to be behind the 8 ball because we're not going to. Society's getting more and more technically
So what
advanced.
But
you're
listen what
saying
you're
is
saying.
give
We
the
have-
kids a different outlet in regards to employment instead
Exactly.
of getting out on the street corner.
Exactly.
Nah, but even that with the saying like we need vocational, and I do think we need vocational schools. But in order to say, hey, look, our black kids just need vocational schools is actually drawing a line saying, hey, look, you can't be successful in this avenue. You
No,
should
we're
go
not
here.
saying that.
I
We're
didn't
not
say
saying
you.
that.
I'm not saying you said that.
Yeah.
But I agree that we need vocational schools. But I also think in my mind, like once you start pushing only for vocational schools, you're now telling kids like you probably ain't gonna make this. You should go here. But before that, you got to understand about parents not going. Parents got to be in work.
Yeah.
So they're not dealing with these kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fathers aren't home. So all that shit got to
73%
be.
of black kids are born into.
I don't even know that stat.
It's 73%.
Yeah, but it's just like it's way more than just school and police. It is.
Yeah,
So therefore,
but
it's a rat race. It's a setup for us. But in order for all that shit to change, honestly, our president, going back to what we originally had to say, got to say, you know what, racism is real.
And
like
active.
systemic racism is real. Once you tackle that juggernaut, our lives will change.
Yeah, I think if that's done, as you were saying that Trump empowered people and it made us see
3 times.
this guy, man. 4-5 empowered people and made us see things in a different way. Like you just said, if you do that, then it opens up eyes a totally different way. You know what I'm saying? It
Not deny that jump.
you can't deny it. It's right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, almost Biden damn near like Trump denying that shit. You know, the whole stand down. And again, I want to say this out loud. It's just me thinking every now and then after I drink a little bit. But if you wanted us to change, and I say us, I mean as black people, you got to acknowledge what we're going through. Once you acknowledge what we're going through, once the president, the VP, and our what's his name, our guy, our governor, acknowledges that shit can change. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not even about a racist person. It's the systemic shit that's really getting us down. It's holding us down.
Like you said, once it's acknowledged up there, you know, other people will acknowledge it. Once it's acknowledged up there.
They got to.
You know,
like I said, and a lot of people don't even want. They just don't want to say it. You know what I'm saying? Once you say it, it turns.
Because like you said, it's gonna make them or their ancestors into the villain. Yeah. And I'm a total believer in that racism is harbored in the older generation. It's harbored 35 and up, 40 and up.
I think personally it is.
Yeah.
Like the individual,
Me too.
racism,
I
and I still think it's alive and beating.
Yeah.
But the individual, you get less and less individuals that are personally racist.
Like you said,
now it's the systemic. That shit is out there.
Yeah.
Hey
man, look, it's summertime. Go out on Peachtree on a weekend night and look at the cars riding down the street and listen to the music that's playing. You're gonna find a bunch of white kids playing rap music,
Latino,
killing it. You ain't gonna find too many black guys playing rock music real loud. Racism, I think, is really harbored at the older generation, and it is still creeping into some of the younger generation. But I think, you know, as we saw in Black Lives Matter, we had so many of the different younger, you know, people of other races out there marching with us, that type of thing.
Even when you talk about music, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay for us talking about niggas and bitches and killing the shit. As soon as you talk about, you know, rape, Jewish people, gays.
You just brought that up.
Stop the press.
You know, whoa.
Stop the press.
You can't talk about them folk. But as long as we talking about us, it's cool. So like that's planned.
This whole hate crime against Asian Americans, and I get it. I promise you I do it. My Asian American people, not against you. But damn.
It was quick.
How many, I mean, damn. All it took was for, and again, not judging, you know, the professions of the people that was killed, but what it took was, you know, a couple of, I'm gonna go massage therapy, a couple of massage therapists to be murdered, and now y'all got a hate bill, a hate crime law that's out there. How many?
But then again, you gotta go back, gotta understand. Thinking about it just if you want to call it a business person, it's easy to pay them $5 million. You acknowledge black folk, you got too much money to pay. I wouldn't do it either.
I'll give you that one.
You got to because y'all talked about that last week, right? Yeah. I missed it, or maybe the week before. But it's too much. It's too much to pay out.
Facts.
Well, I still think vocational schools and the revamping of educational system will help, because what you're talking about is going to take 100 years.
I agree.
If you bring vocational schools, we're not taking the kids away, but think about it. You said yourself,
giving them a different avenue.
System is pushing kids that can't read all the way through the school system. If you put that same kid in a vocational school where he learns how to be a brick mason, guess what? He's going to lay bricks, but he's also going to know, damn, when he starts making that money, the first time he gets a bill or the first time he has to do something, he has to find somebody to do it for me, so I'm going to make sure my kids learn.
This is what I don't like, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
But by saying that, you're giving a pass to the bullshit that they kicking to us. Because you're saying it's gonna take
Regards
100,
to-
200 years, whatever you just said. It was 100 something, right? You
I'm
said
just
100.
saying that.
No, I mean, but you're saying it's gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
My point is, by saying it's gonna take a long time, and you acknowledging that it's a problem, and say, well, look, again, they're not gonna change right here, so let's try this. We need to change that. Now, I'm down with all the vocational schools
Empower
too.
ourselves so we're making our own money. So back in the day, a brick mason, if you called for a brick mason in the South, it was going to be a black man almost 9 out of 10 times.
I get it.
And I get what he's saying is basically that by saying that the vocational schools is going to take care of it.
No, not
now
take care. I didn't say that. It would be part of it.
it can now say, well, No Child Left Behind ain't that bad. That's what you're saying is basically
it's
that
just
we need to tackle that.
We need to get it like
We need to tackle that
I'm with
and
opening
have
back
the
up.
vocational schools.
I'm with opening
So the
vocational
kid
schools
that
back
can
up.
read can
but
then
this
go
is
to
the
vocational
issue. We're
school.
talking about the real issue. So therefore, because vocational school in a perfect world, let's say we fix this. Vocational school is still good because there are students and there are kids, there are people and adults that don't do well in a school setting. So therefore, you know what?
Disabilities.
Yeah, it's just all that. So learning disabilities, like they're good. Like again, which goes back to what we're talking about. I
they-
work with my hands.
They just
like,
smart and
fuck
work
all
with
this
their
shit.
hands.
Yeah, I can't. I'm smart as hell, but what you're asking to be smart in, that's not my avenue.
Yeah, this is
So
what I like to do.
I'm going to vocational school. That is a plus, but we still got to fix this. This is the major issue.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the major, like, so when you talking about all big organizations, when it comes, and I've said it again with law enforcement, politics, all that, all those need to be knocked down and reconstructed.
Not necessarily knocked down. I think reconstruction. What you're going to have to do is make it into a national police force, like I said before, because you're talking about, that's a very liberal approach to it. Because if you just strike around police force, who's going to protect the innocent? Who's going to protect the sheep?
I'm not saying take away the police force. I'm saying we go inside and we have to knock down the whole ideology of the police force. We have to knock down the ideology of the government. Arguably, you have to knock down the ideology of the judges. So when I say the police force, I'm not just talking about the police. I'm talking about the police, and you got the lawyers, and you got the judges. You got all these folks that technically, kind of, sort of, in ways that you might not be known to work with each other.
The whole function.
The whole functionality. So therefore, like, and you know what? You ain't gotta treat me like no white person. Cool. I want you to treat a white person like you treat me. Shit gonna change. If me and Brandon knock somebody off and shoot somebody, you give us both 25 years. I bet you shit change. Don't give me 3 just like you giving him 3. Give us both 25.
Boy.
So therefore, like, treat everybody like you treat me, and you know what? The whole fucking world will change.
All right.
Well,
let's break in right there.
Yeah, boy, we've been rocking.
Yeah,
we've been rocking. Man, where the hell you been? We needed you a couple of nights, dude.
I tried to get him out. He finally made it out.
But see, I knew you were different anyway from the socks and stuff you used to wear back in the day. This dude here, boy. Yeah, man. So there it is. Whew.
Classic, boy.
Classic conversation. That's what it's about.
I enjoyed it, man.
Hey, go ahead and let everybody know where they can follow you at, bro, because I see you got a lot to say. Hell, I need to write down your notes.
You got to come back.
Nah, I'm just gonna come back. Ain't nowhere to follow me, man. I'll be here.
There you go. Following right here.
I'll be here, man.
All right, B. Now, you got to let them know about the shirts and everything, bro.
All the Love Tees, ATL, All the Love Tees. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram or whatnot. And a lot of politically motivated, politically centric shirts and whatnot. Just, making statements. It's easy thing that you can do is just to wear it on a shirt and make people ask you about it. Just a tip when we talk about addressing these things, whenever I get into arguments with people, I have 2 things that I use. And when you're addressing arguing against the opposite viewpoint is never going to get you anywhere. We're all adults. We kind of believe what we believe, and you're never going to talk somebody down to it. I always ask, what is it about my side of the argument that you think draws me to my side? And it makes people examine what they think of me and how that makes them view my politics. Or I ask, what would it take for me to change this side for you to come over to my side? Because people, when you talk about differing opinions, people try to say, we're not that different, guys. We're more alike than we are different. And that may be true. But my question is, if we are more alike than different, why did I choose the side that I choose? What made you choose a different side than me? what do I have to change about my side to make you say, you know what, I can get along with that program? So I encourage you, the next time you have a discussion with somebody and you know they have a different viewpoint and they question it, stop everything instead of trying to convince them and say, all right, you see that we're, you claim that we're similar. What is it that you don't like about my position? What do I have to change over here for you to say, you know what, I can work with that? And you'd be surprised at how it makes people examine what they believe and how they've been brought up to see things. And for the record, as a gun-owning, as a gun aficionado,
that's more like it.
I own weapons because people like me are prepared for stuff like that. People who look like me are prepared for what's going to happen, and they've been planning it. And I don't want someone who looks like me to be more prepared than I am for what's about to happen. Armed minorities are harder to oppress. Okay, and we saw that historically through gun rights and stuff like that with Black Panthers, things like that. Armed minorities are harder to oppress, and people who look like me are prepared for stuff like that. And people who look like y'all are not as prepared, and that's just what it is.
It's not allowed to be.
Okay, my guns are to protect myself from people who look like me, because I know what we're planning and what we're talking about and what we're capable of. I'm not worried about, whatever rap music has told y'all to do. I'm not worried about that, because that doesn't affect me. I own the weapons that I own to protect myself from people who look like me.
But one statement: if you think a black person is more powerful or more scary than a Karen, something's wrong.
I didn't hear you.
You think a black person is more afraid than a Karen?
No, he was asking me. When he was asking about the guns, he thought I was arming myself for people that look like me. And I'm just saying they have more. No,
that's not what I was saying. That's not what I was saying. If you want to, you're painting everything with a broad stroke. Now, that's not what I said. What I said was, in Atlanta, the vast majority of people, because of crimes.
No, you asked me why I had one. I said I got it from somebody who doesn't look like me.
Okay.
And then you looked at me like I was crazy.
Okay, because in Atlanta, the violent crime is us right now. And the reason is because we're an oppressed people and nobody's doing anything about it. We like to.
You said in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
The city of Atlanta.
The city of Atlanta.
Who outnumbers who when it comes to just numbers?
Oh, just more whites now in Atlanta.
In the city of Atlanta?
In the city of Atlanta. In the city of Atlanta, yes. Yes, in the city of Atlanta. How the last 3 black mayors got gotten elected is Zone 1, Zone 4, parts of Zone 6, and Zone 3. Okay, now with the gentrification, that's watering that down a whole lot.
Big time.
A whole lot. That's why it's changing. That's why you see now Buckhead's not leaving. Buckhead's bluffing because they want crime to be in the forefront of a next mayoral race in Atlanta. So anybody that comes up, it's going to allow things to be blurred a whole lot. They're not going to talk about anything. They're not going to talk about helping poor blacks. They're not going to help about why when they did the gentrification, there was no grandfather clause, so old people's taxes wouldn't go up. What they did was they had community meetings where everybody got packets, where they had to fill it out. It wasn't done for them. A lot of those people can't read or write, okay? So that's a lot of things that went around in Atlanta. Going back to what I was saying, and I'll do my closing remarks now. Like I always said, if you're in a situation with law enforcement and you feel that you've been mistreated or on the scene, always call for a supervisor. Supervisors are put there to quell the situation. If that's not sufficient, this didn't have a cause for it, but I always tell people, go down to internal affairs and file a complaint. If you feel that you've been wrong and don't file a complaint, you're part of a problem. Because what happens is a lot of times as African Americans, we talk about it, but we don't actually take action. If you go down, good officers don't mind. Bad officers do, because now you're going to put a mark on that officer's record that hopefully with legislature and the near future is going to come out where anything dealing with brutality follows officers around. It currently doesn't do it. You have gypsy police officers that go department to department, file your complaint, follow through with it, and that'll bring about change.
All right. I'm going to read a couple comments real quick from number 1 fan, Anita. And she was riding with JT. She said, please stop giving the P grabber credit for anything. It was President Obama who made certain white folks angry. They went after him from the first inauguration. Started with 7 white men, including House Leader Eric Cantor, Kevin McCarthy, Newt Gingrich, Mitch McConnell, etc., who decided that night to destroy President Obama. 45 has nothing to do with it. Orlena said police, like teachers, don't get paid enough. They don't need to fund, but change the focus. Make sure it's going to help with mental illness, and make sure trained mental health personnel are on call to assist on those calls. And remember, it's a big one. They built prisons based on children who can't read by 3rd grade, and who they are mainly hiring to teach our children. Other ways to keep us back. First, they were putting most of our boys in special ed classes. Now it's going back to what they started before. Don't teach those blacks. They use the N word to read. Not just the teacher's fault. Not just the teacher's fault. Parents are sending children to school, can't write names, say or recognize letters, numbers, rhymes, etc. If they come to school unprepared, they start behind. So parents have to also invest in their children.
That's right.
Phil, she said, you sound like Booker T and W.B. Du Bois on them earlier statements you're making. Good comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. So only thing I gotta say on my close, just I was real disappointed to hear about that Georgia education passed that. The one thing that I was telling the server said she did a waiver for her classroom and sent it home to the parents because she said she's gonna insert certain Black history things, and she sent the waiver home and the waiver basically said, hey, if you don't want your child to hear these things, take them out my classroom because I'm not going to conform to
the power of the teacher.
Yeah.
There are ways around it. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I recognize that I have the privilege of I can teach what I want to teach, and I can dare them to try to do something about it. I recognize that. But what you can do is, I had a student whose father was very conservative, and he didn't like some of the things that I taught because I took every opportunity I could to inject whatever Black history thing is happening that month or whatever, just to get them a full perspective of what goes on. And most of my kids were Black, so why not? His father had a problem with it, and his father spoke up about it. So I said, cool, we're going to do these things, and he doesn't have to. He can sit right over here, and you can send something from home for him to do. It's not required of it. I'm not going to penalize his grade, but we're all going to talk about this. And what happens is, when me and these 5 other kids talk about this, and you sit over there by yourself and draw, you ain't got to take part in this. You don't have to say anything. I don't need your input. It's cool. Your father doesn't want you to hear this. It's cool. The kids want to be a part of what's going on. So the kids will come over and listen. Buddy, I need you to go sit back at your desk. Your dad said you can't hear this. Now, if you want to listen from over there, you can, but we're going to talk about this.
Which goes back again to what we were originally talking about. Kids want to learn. And then when the kids get when it finally clicks and their philosophy changes, parents are kind of, you know what I'm saying? The older folks are like, yo, this ain't it.
And learn the buzzwords. Like, listen, you know what the system is, utilize the system. I know what they're looking for. I can talk about the election. I don't have to speak about the previous president. I don't have to speak about it. We're talking about the election. And no parent is going to say we can't talk about the election. Now, how you get into that stuff, you have some leeway. But learn how to couch the things that you want to teach. Learn how to use the system. If you know what they're looking at, what they expect you to tell them, learn how to use the system to teach the things that you want to teach. I don't have to teach anybody my mindset. I just have to ask questions around these subjects to get them to look for themselves. All the information's out there. They have to look for themselves and find it, but all I got to do is ask the questions that cause them to look in these directions, and it's cool. I didn't teach them this. I didn't tell them this. This is what they came to of their own, and it's been relatively successful for me.
How many of your coworkers do that in the school system at your school?
Not a lot. And I recognize that because white males are always seen as leadership, nobody's going to question a lot of what I do, and they look at it as eventually I'm going to be an administrator because that's just what's expected. When you're a white guy in education, you're going to be an administrator. So I fully recognize that it's easy for me to say to do this. You know what I'm saying?
I believe it.
Think about it. How many principals did you have growing up that were white guys?
Oh, yeah,
How many
I believe
teachers did you have that were white guys? Not many. Everybody had a white guy principal. He came from somewhere.
I believe it.
And I think, going back to you saying, I think times have changed to the point where we have to change how we, for one, teach, and for two, how we look at teachers. I even when I just started growing my hair out, I try to do things that are relatively current with the kids because I've on many occasions been, not administrator of the year or anything, but just like shout outs, kids like me and all that shit because they see me and them, vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Representation matters.
Representation. So with all this whole, and I don't agree with it. Me and my principal have talked about it a couple times, like telling adults how to dress and what's okay with their hair and how you should be and how you should talk. You'll want you to tuck your shirt in. Kids don't respond to that. You know what I'm saying? They need it. I want a kid to see me and be like, yo, I want to be like him because he's like me. You know what I'm saying? I want to be forward thinking.
You care. That's what teachers supposed to do.
You know what I'm saying? But back in the day when it comes to tattoos, facial hair, they want you to imitate a certain type of look that kids don't respond to. That's a problem. So, a lot of our female teachers are real young. Their hair is now colored. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier for a kid to identify and connect at this point.
I don't think we're allowed to say colored. I don't think that.
But it's.
Orlando says she likes that. She taught Black history hard. She like how you, put it in there no matter what. It's good stuff.
Like know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like there is not a if we know that America was built on the backs of black people, then there's nothing that we talk about America that can involve black people. You know what I'm saying? You can work it in one way or the other. Even if it's something like the dress code thing. When I started teaching, we had to wear button-up shirts. Now I can wear whatever I want to wear, and I wear shirts to school, T-shirts with a message or whatever, because I know that I can, if I keep pushing that boundary, then it makes everybody else, what's the poem about, when you show your light, subconsciously it gives other people the right to show their own light. It's the same thing. Keep pushing those edges and those boundaries until once it all bleeds over, they're not gonna worry about whether they're policing somebody's hair. You know what I'm saying? So any little step that you can make anywhere, do it.
One more thing, and I'm sorry, I do a lot of. I think you were talking about the teachers that in the teaching administration.
You do the same thing on Thursday night too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do. You were talking about administrators back in the day when they got in trouble about the testing, right?
Wasn't that back in the day? That's
no. That was what 07. That was 2007, right?
Yeah, 7 and 8.
7 and 8. Now, what's funny about that is you were saying that they let students and they actually cheated for the test. But I remember when Obama was about to get elected, correct?
Yeah.
Our administration, they were told, clear cut, don't talk about no political stuff with these kids. So like when Obama got elected, like a lot of teachers try to, just put Obama all over their classroom and paint the walls and then, the little message boards. Mm-hmm. They completely said you can't do that at all.
In Atlanta?
In Atlanta. I'm at Turner right now.
That's crazy.
Can't do it. We're not talking about politics. Don't ask. When they normally used to ask you like, if you were voting, who would you vote for and why? We had none of that, and they were real stern on that. So at this very moment, I'm thinking they didn't give a fuck about the grades and stuff, or arguably, they weren't told they can't do nothing about the grades. But it was a clear cut, do not say nothing about Obama, Republicans, Democrats, Gore, none of that. So it's like you're saying it's the administration, but in my mind, it's so higher up because they made sure to told us what we can't do. But when it comes to them testing, when it comes to them tests, it was like, oh, I ain't know about it till it happened, so we'll deal with them. So it's just. It's always,
superintendent was involved in the cheating and scandal.
Oh, I know.
Listen, if you're a white educator and you happen to be listening, use your power. I got a shirt that says, you don't have to be black to be outraged. It doesn't have to happen to you personally for you to be upset about what goes on. I've got another one that talks about being an ally versus being a co-conspirator. A lot of people, a lot of liberal white educators talk to me when they see stuff that I say and that I post and whatnot, and they say that they appreciate that I say it, and it makes them feel like they can say it. And I'm trying to understand why you don't already feel like you can say it. Like, utilize your platform. You know what I'm saying? The one thing, Speaking to white educators, use your voice. I know that my voice speaks up in places where other people's voices don't, and that I have a platform that other people don't. Utilize your platform. What's the worst that can happen? You know what I'm saying? But speak up about it. If you're an educator that feels the same way that I feel politically, use your voice, use your strength, use the fact that they're probably not going to fire you. You know what I'm saying? That
Right.
once you're a third-year teacher, it is tough to get fired. You have to mishandle money or cheat on tests.
They have to show.
Okay.
Make sure that you do.
You ain't got to show nothing.
Right.
They got to show it.
Yeah, but
prove it, huh?
use your platform. Use the platform that you're given. It's not just about talking to these kids. It's about reaching the people around you, and whether it be parents, whether it be other teachers, other administrators. You know what I'm saying? Use your platform.
That's what I'm talking about.
Facts. Hey, real quick public announcement. This is for Uptown Comedy Corner. We got Bob Sumner this weekend, a big comedy showcase. This Sunday will be our last show at this particular location. We they're
moving on.
Yeah, we're moving up to another location here. This beautiful property is going to be torn down, turned into apartment complexes. So if you want to come uptown for the last time in this building, we'll be back in a couple of months. I already got a new location. Just got to do some work to it, but we'll be back jumping probably August.
Where is it? Or are you keeping that secret till it gets popping?
No, it's not secret anymore. But, we're moving over to Virginia Avenue, not far from here. Great location. It's going to be hot upstairs. Going to like the old Uptown Comedy Corner. It's going to be wonderful. So there it is.
There it is, man. So this weekend, wait a minute. Tell them who's here again this weekend.
We're doing this Bob Sumner Comedy Showcase, man. Got 50 comedians. D'Amico trying to add 10 more. But we got 50 comedians coming, man. Starting Thursday night. If you don't know who Bob Sumner is, Russell Simmons gets all the credit for Def Comedy Jam, but every comedian you ever saw on Def Comedy Jam was recruited personally by Bob Sumner to put on that show. He also puts the comedians on Apollo. He also has that Laugh Tracks joint, and he has another TV show he's working on. That's why he's looking for some new comedians, some new flavor. So we got a whole gang of comedians coming to perform in front of Bob this weekend to show their stuff, man. If you know Atlanta comedy, you can't see many comedy shows, many comedy places where they didn't come from Atlanta. And every comedian knows, you want to break ground. If you ain't hit Uptown, you ain't hit nowhere. So it's going to be big.
So there it is, man. Y'all make sure y'all come on down this weekend. We gonna be here next Tuesday?
No, not this location, no.
Not it. Okay. But
So
we still.
The podcast moving too?
Yeah, everything got to go.
Everything-
Gotta go.
Gotta go. Gotta roll. Gotta go. Hey, man, this conversation was dope.
Dope.
Because honestly, sometimes when I post stuff, people hit me up thinking I know about this shit. I don't. I promise you. A lot of the stuff, man, I'm learning these two gentlemen here gave me some stuff tonight I just did not expect that I was going to get, for real. Appreciate you guys coming down, for real.
I really appreciate the invite.
B, I was on set today, and it's about a murder that happens, and we're in front of, I can't give too much of it, but we're in front of a courthouse, and it's a Black Lives Matter movement. The lady, because I went down on set with this on,
Right.
and she was like, damn. You already casted, but I actually want you to be one of my extras standing out with that shirt. Yo, so many people stopped me and was like, yo, let me read your shirt. They were like, The white folks was like, oh, damn. Of course, the black folks was like, oh, that's so dope. So I told them about, where they can rock with you at or whatever. So, yo, for real, the dude got some dope shirts, really dope shirts. I got to get some more, for real. I wish I would have worn them. I took it.
I got a couple of. I got a couple.
I actually took it to Houston with me, but I didn't have time to put it on or something because I wanted to wear it so that people could see it or whatever. But I appreciate you, bro, for real.
Appreciate it.
For me, closing. This was mind-boggling. Like I said, when he sent me these messages today, I was speechless that somebody could say that that the United States is not a racist country. It's just
And
way
Georgia's
too
not
much.
a racist state.
Especially that, because if you're not in Atlanta, just drive an hour anyway.
Everything on the Bible Belt is extremely questionable.
Leave Atlanta and drive 45 to 50 minutes in any direction.
20.
Any direction. Any of them. And just, man, they got gas stations out there that still have the rotary dial. That go ding when it hits a
My
dollar.
wife's from Montgomery. She does not stop between East Point and Montgomery.
Yeah,
she fills up and drives straight through to Montgomery.
To pass that bill, again, they pass some bills behind closed doors is what they do. When they have to do that, something's wrong with it anyway. Educators, do what you do. You know what I'm saying? He made our cop made a great statement when he said, and it's still sad, it's still fucked up, but when a police officer, assaults somebody, they assault that one person. But when an educator doesn't educate a kid, you're affecting a lot. You don't realize how much you're affecting when you don't educate that child, because it's going to affect his family, his friends. Of course, it's going to affect him, but it goes widespread. So this was a dope conversation. I wish I could have really put it. I wish we'd have came up with it last week so we could have had more people to tune in on it. I'm going to make sure that I let people know how to, take a look at the show, because we're going to have it posted and everything. About me, again, I was on set today. BET Tales, season 3. I don't know what episode it is, but
who's your wife?
I don't know if y'all looked at Zane Chronicles back in the day, but she was Zane. Yeah, man.
I still watching on too many years.
About to get me in trouble, but she approved of it. So, I have my movie that I actually did, independent movie, Men Cry 2. That's actually going to be screened on Father's Day. Stay tuned to my page. I got the link for the tickets up. Of course, it's limited seating because we're still supposedly in COVID. Supposedly, I said that.
Mask on, mask off.
Yeah, my play is coming back out. Shit, I forgot the name of the damn play.
I know it too. I'm thinking the name. I can't get it out either.
I really forgot the name of the play. Damn. August 13th, 14th, and 15th, we got 3 shows. Stay tuned to my page. I'll let you know.
You'll post it. That's the one of y'all ad.
Oh, Shell of a Man. Damn. Shell of a Man is basically about 6 men, 6 issues. And it's unscripted. And basically, we talk about some issues and how it affects you and your loved ones. August 13th, 14th, and 15th, we got 3 shows coming out. The movie, BET Tales. Yeah, I think that's good enough.
Real quick, man. The famous quote: "Think
globally, act locally."
Globally, act locally. This bill that was passed by this Georgia Board of Education, everybody at Georgia Board of Education is voted in.
That's right. Mm-hmm. You know how you remember when you went in that booth and all you was thinking about was the president? And you just went
check.
Incumbent. You messed up.
Yeah.
I encourage you to never check the incumbent. I'm not a fan of the 2-party system, so unless I have a personal investment in that person, I always vote for the new person, no matter what, just so that they know that we're not behind y'all all together. We always want to see fresh people.
If I don't know,
right?
This is
Democrat.
I guess a black person to me. If I don't know who you are, I think you against me.
That's true.
So that's just it. So I agree, man.
Yeah, sure.
Hold these folks accountable, man. Just
Hold 'em
really try to get in your.
That's what we have to do.
Hold these folks accountable.
All right, so that's gonna do it, man. Another classic conversation. Classic Conversations with JT and Low, and we are
And ask
out.
the cop.
And that's a cop.
You dig?
Thank you.
Come on.